clever pun. The Kongversation.
Speaking of trouble, the chimpanzee farmer is here to butcher me and sell my flesh.
Hello, and welcome to the Kongversation. I'm Hyle Russell.
And I am Dustin Jackson.
Dustin, my buddy, my pal.
What up, Hyle?
My friend. You know, speaking of buddies, you know what that word, that concept always reminds me of?
Could it be the animal buddies?
You know,
I was trying to think of like a funny, like subversive buddy to do, but
yeah,
I couldn't.
Well, yeah, I didn't want to like be so transparent about my areas of interest and, let's be honest, fetishes, but yeah.
Right, we don't joke about this stuff here. We take it very seriously.
We do. If anybody out there takes this stuff seriously, it's us. And one of the things we take of the utmost seriousness are animals that apes and monkeys straddle between their legs and ride around a bit across exotic, beautiful, natural landscapes and sometimes factories. So, yeah, I would say I like the animal buddies, and I'm quite serious about the animal buddies. And, you know, when I'm thinking about, I don't know, the top 10 Donkey Kong series animal buddies, I would say Enguarde the Swordfish is definitely one of them.
He's definitely one of the animal buddies.
Well, he's definitely in my top 10 favorite. You know,
Right.
I would say once upon a time, way back yonder, Enguarde was probably considered by most fans to be the second most important or well-known animal buddy right after Rambi. And a lot of that is just because of the order in which they're introduced. And of course, Enguarde was easy to stumble upon in his first level, Coral Capers, in the original Donkey Kong Country. And that's such a memorable level for so many people who might not have even beaten Donkey Kong Country. You know, they just played through it a little bit. If it was in the 90s a rental, or if they tried it out on a friend's console, or in the latter day, gave it a shot on the NSO service, you know, on Super Nintendo Entertainment System Classics. They decided to try out this original Donkey Kong Country game, and they saw Coral Capers, and they're like, I guess that would have been impressive to kids in the 90s. I'm a little bit too sophisticated for this shit now. But
I've kind of moved on.
Yeah, so I would say because of just when he was introduced, he would have been right there behind Rambi. But then you also have to consider the longevity of Enguarde, frequently appearing in the Rare era Donkey Kong games, and even, you know, some post-Rare games. But then, in the last 16 years or so, I would think the rankings of Animal Buddy importance have definitely changed, because since 2010, since Donkey Kong Country Returns, the two most identifiable animal buddies to the general populace, and even if you polled most Donkey Kong fans, they would say it's Rambi and Squawks the parrot, right?
Right.
And that's just because Enguarde hasn't been used all that much, really at all, since 2010. And despite being totally shut out of Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, which he should have been in, and us, you know, never shutting up about that slight, I would say Enguarde is definitely one of the characters benefiting from the renewed focus and love that the Donkey Kong series is currently getting. And it's positioning the character more strongly for the future than he's been in quite some time. And Dustin, you and I, we've done character witness episodes on the Kongversation for both Rambi and Squawks. You got to get those done. And then we also did Espresso the Ostrich because he was in Banjo Pilot, and we like that.
We do like that. That really helps you out if you're in Banjo Pilot.
Yeah, there's a lot to like about Espresso, like the fact he made us blink and you miss a cameo in Banjo Pilot and also Espresso Racing on the Game Boy Advance version of Donkey Kong Country 2. We love that. We love everything about that. But those are 3 of the 5 original Animal Buddies, and it seems quite laughable that we skipped over Enguarde to do Espresso, but Enguarde wasn't in Banjo Pilot. In our defense,
Yet.
we had our reasons.
You have to see it from our point of view.
Yeah. So now that Enguarde has got some shine to him again, thanks to Donkey Kong Bonanza and what the future may hold, I think it's time we finally do a character witness. A lot of people call these spotlight episodes. Spotlights are for the games, Dustin. Spotlights are
but
for
they are a spotlight equivalent for characters.
No, they're completely different.
But they're a different labeling.
They're completely different. This is a character witness. And if this was a spotlight, it would be a floodlight, like flood-lit fish. Yeah, that's
for the people who weren't listening a couple minutes ago.
Yeah, I said that. I workshopped that joke before we actually started the episode, and nobody laughed. And I thought, well, maybe if I try it a second time.
If you try it a few more times, people will start laughing.
We'll workshop it a little bit more, and I'll keep dropping it in, and eventually everyone will have a good guffaw over it. But yeah, on this episode of The Kongversation, we are being the character witness for Enguarde the Swordfish. Probably the 3rd most beloved animal buddy, because Ellie did not get into the Donkey Kong Country theme park.
That's true. That's true.
That's true.
Ellie had it all, could have had it all, but Nintendo said nope.
Ellie almost circumvented Enguarde's rankings in the Animal Buddy hierarchy, and yet she botched that. She fucking fumbled.
Hey, better luck next time, Ellie.
Yeah, well, she'll get a statue probably in Bonanza. Dustin, before we launch into it, this is a very busy time for DK Vine, for the Donkey Kong universe fandom. And that is because Donkey Kong 64 is coming to Nintendo Switch Online plus expansion pack.
Oh my goodness gracious. Oh my lordy begordy.
Oh my loggy Falagi, I don't know.
Loggy biscotti. That doesn't rhyme. That's not good.
And biscotti is really hard for a cookie.
Yeah, we'll workshop it.
So they have announced that DK64 is finally coming to Nintendo 64 Classics on officially June 4th, which in the US way of arranging dates comes to 6/4. How do you like them apples? How do you like them pineapple smells, Dustin?
Oh, they're fragrant, all right.
Yeah, so June 4th is when DK64 is officially coming to NSO in most of the world. It's actually going to be 9 p.m. Eastern on June 3rd. So we're going to get it a day before the advertised day, as is tradition, because it's a worldwide instantaneous release. So this has been long in the works, and we've long debated when is DK64 coming to NSO. And my position, and I'm sure I will talk about it more on the episode for DK64 on NSO, but my position was always they're probably holding it back, and they want the new Donkey Kong game from Nintendo EPD to get the shine. It's probably going to be 3D, and they don't want to detract from it by releasing a game that is, well, not universally beloved. It's beloved, right? But it definitely has its critics. Yeah. And so I was like, they're probably going to release it after so people don't mistake whatever this new game is for the same tier of quality. And
right, give them each some breathing room.
I'm not saying I have any basis on this assumption. This was just my belief. And here we are. It's coming out nearly 1 year to the day that the Nintendo Switch 2 launched. So maybe there is something to that theory, but we are getting it. It's long awaited, long overdue. I'm very happy to have it on NSO. And we'll be talking about it here on the Kongversation. But June 4th is also the day we're kicking off Stinky Ape Summer 2026. I clearly coordinated this with Nintendo ahead of time, and I said, look, if you could release something juicy on June 4th, this is when I'm starting our bullshit branding for the summer, because E3 died and I refused to go with Jeff Keighley's wants and desires. So Nintendo said, sure, buddy, here you go. They call me a buddy too. They think of me as a fish they put between their legs. And so
they ride you around.
They ride me around. They do ride me around, and they put me away sopping wet most days. But this Stinky Ape Summer, it's not going to be...
It's never been stinkier.
Well, no, I would say last year was probably stinkier, given we got a new 3D Donkey Kong game that ended up being pretty much everything we wanted and desired from
That's
a
true.
3D Donkey Kong game, up to and including bringing back the Kremlin crew and tying together several divergent strands of Donkey Kong continuity and lore into one very compelling package, while still moving the series forward in a provocative way that pleased both fans long and new. This summer is going to suck in comparison, but we're going to make a good...
Yeah, we have DK64.
We're going to make a good show of it, because we have DK64, we have that Star Fox game, which is basically Star Fox 64 with a new coat of paint.
Right.
But you never know. They might put some Star Fox Adventures references in it. We hold out hope. Maybe we'll get Star Fox Adventures on NSO. That's coming eventually.
They might put Perry the Parallel Bird in Star Fox.
Why the hell
reason.
not? Let's get freaking weird with it. But
that'd be something.
We've also got, don't laugh, the Xbox Showcase on Sunday, June 7th. Don't laugh. And I'm sure we have a Nintendo Direct of some sort or such sometime in June. So we are kicking off Stinky Ape Summer June 4th at 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. BST with a live conversation on twitch.tv/DKVine. The plan is for me to be joined by one Matt Corna, yet again, and we will preview the summer ahead for the DKU. Because look, even if this summer is going to be a miserable slog in comparison to the highs of 2025, I still think we can mine some good, solid laughs out of it. We know how to make our own fun here in the DKU fandom, and we will do exactly that. We'll have some fun things lined up throughout the 3 months that Stinky Ape Summer is acknowledged by the Christian church. And we will, we'll have the special branding. I'll be going on my bear hike. Got some surprises lined up, so stay tuned.
Yeah, let's stink it up.
Yeah, let's stink it up. That's, the official catchphrase of Stinky Ape Summer 2026. Let's stink it up. Dustin, write that down. I can't forget that.
Oh, I'm writing it down.
Because I just proclaimed it's the official slogan of Stinky Ape Summer 2026. And I can't go back on my word by forgetting as soon as we stop recording that.
Imagine the stock art of Funky Kong from DKC1. Just the render of him. And then right next to him, it says, let's stink it up.
I can imagine, yes. I will dream of that when I shut my eyes tonight. But, yeah, before we get to that, I want to say hello to our patrons. We, of course, live stream all the basic boring-ass episodes of the Kongversation that aren't live on our Twitch channel. To our $5 and up patrons, we've got Chocolate Milk Drinker, we've got March Rose, we've got Skips, we've got TJ in the chat
Hello,
today.
everyone.
Hello. Chocolate Milk Drinker says the Xbox Showcase Banjo is not there, my guy. Look, here's my position.
Hey, we won't know it until it happens.
Exactly. Eventually, law of averages and whatnot, Banjo will be there. And then we can have...
One of these days he's got to be somewhere.
We can have all those fun debates when it happens. But Banjo is coming this summer because we're getting the rare Super Pocket, which has Banjo-Kazooie on it.
That's true. We are getting Banjo in some form.
We are. And later this year, we're getting the Banjo-Kazooie Double Pack for Evercade, which has Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie on it. So, you know, we're getting the same games again and again, but so is Star Fox, and you don't see them. Well, I guess they are crying about it a little bit, but... yeah.
Oh, I'm crying.
But we are going to take those salty tears and turn them into salty seawater for our friend,
Yay.
the one, the only, Enguarde the Swordfish. First things first, I have to ask, did you mispronounce Enguarde's name when you were a kid?
No, I got the joke as a kid. I remember just getting it because, you know, I watched a bunch of cartoons and every now and then in a cartoon there'll be a sword fight and they'll say on guard. So I thought, oh, he's a swordfish. I get it. That's from whence the comedy sprouts.
Oh, you pretentious little fucker, Dustin. So the weird thing is, right? I was a bit uncultured. I was uncouth back in the day, and I knew the phrase on guard from cartoons and whatnot, Three Musketeers, but I did not know how it was spelled. And so I saw this random ass E on the end, and I thought, because we had a Ramby, and we had a Winky, we had a Diddy and a Funky and a Candy and a Cranky and a Donkey, I thought this was just a fun way of spelling on guard E. And I don't know why I thought that.
I can see that. Well, the pattern is there for the characters.
Yeah, but like phonetically, I guess I didn't know how it worked phonetically, and I wasn't very familiar with the French language back then. So, unlike now, where I am fluent.
I think we're both fluent. We could do this whole podcast in French if we chose to.
Oui.
Oui.
It's called the Wii U, actually. They should have called it the Wii
Oh,
Wii.
shit. That would have been great. See, then it would have sold.
It would have sold so many more consoles if they called it the Wii Wii, because the piss enthusiast would have bought it.
Can I get a wee, please?
The nasty people who love pee. No judgments. I'm just saying. So anyway, I called him Enguarde for like the first year, and then I just stumbled upon the word Enguarde in print in like school, and I felt so foolish, but luckily I only ever spoke his name out loud to my friends who also didn't know. So it was fine. We were able to just kind of segue. We were able to just slide right into the correct pronunciation, and
just pretend it never happened.
Nobody was the wiser. Yes. And I would never mispronounce a character's name again.
Never.
So, yeah, the backstory to Enguarde, we don't really know it. Unlike Ramby, where I think there's this broad fan assumption that he has kind of known Donkey Kong since he was just a wee little rhino calf, or whatever you call baby rhinos. We don't really have any broad assumptions about Enguarde. I'm sure some fans out there have some headcanon, but you know, we know that Enguarde is a native to the waters around and even on Donkey Kong Island, and at some point prior to the events of Donkey Kong Country, formed a bond with the Kongs and allowed them quite readily to ride around on his back.
That's so nice of him. What a cool guy this Enguarde the Swordfish is. And
I'm wondering, because, you know, we know Cranky has a relationship with the animal buddies. Sometimes doting, sometimes very much rooted in Cranky's own financial desires. And Funky has also fostered a kind of business relationship with some of the animal buddies. Squawks, for one, but then also he's trained his own parrot, or macaw in the case of Talks. So it's possible that Funky could have been the one who brought Enguarde into the fold, given what we know about Funky's business empire starting with Funky's fishing. And we know that Enguarde is like part of that package when the Kongs take Enguarde out to Funky fish in 2 out of the 3 versions of Donkey Kong Country. So it's likely Funky was the one who was like, oh, hey, this is a friendly swordfish. I'm going to bring him into the fold. And from there...
Yeah, maybe he met him while he was surfing.
That's
He's surfing. He's like,
what I'm
whoa,
saying.
Look at that swordfish.
If any Kong could have first befriended Enguarde, it would have been Funky when he wiped out and like went under the waves and saw this swordfish swimming by who didn't immediately stab him.
that was very nice.
Yeah. So I think that's how it happened in my headcanon. But, you know, it's also possible that Donkey and Diddy just went for a wade in like a little bay or something like Coral Capers, and there's Enguarde, and they were like, hi, would you like to be in a crate?
He said, you know what? I could be in a crate, yeah.
So yeah, Donkey Kong Country, he was part of the original squad of 5 animal buddies, 4 rideable animal buddies, because Squawks at that point in time was just lugging the flashlight around the one level, Torchlight Trouble. But in the instruction manual, it says about Enguarde the Swordfish, the English instruction manual. For aquatic adventuring, Enguarde is essential. While riding him, you do not need to press the B button to swim. The control pad directional arrows are enough. By pressing the Y or B button, you can get a burst of speed during which Enguarde's sword nose becomes a deadly weapon. Needless to say, you won't find Enguarde anywhere but underwater. That's something that wouldn't be entirely true going forward in the sequels. We would see him.
That's true.
We would see him a couple times wiggling around on dry land if you positioned it just right.
He looks very pathetic, but
yeah.
It's nice that he's not just stuck in the water all the time.
Right. I mean, you say that, but he is a fish. I think that's pretty nice for him.
That's true. Maybe he hates when you take him out. He probably does.
I think most fish generally hate when you take them out of the water. Don't do that. Stop it, Dustin.
You know what? That would explain why I've lost so many pets.
You're like, oh, you could use a change of scenery, Mr. Goldfish. You know, one of my favorite games.
Let's go for a walk.
One of my favorite games, Banjo-Kazooie, taught me you just love to warm up on the barbecue. So
I'm doing this for you.
Enguarde is effectively the underwater equivalent of Rambi. I mean, he is just Rambi, but under the water. Although in the original Donkey Kong Country, I would say that comparison is perhaps less obvious, given that he can't break open secret passages because there are no underwater secret passages in that game. Whereas Rambi is very much like a tank or bulldozer that just mows through everything. Enguarde is far more nimble and just like agile, and is so much better controlling underwater when you have Enguarde than when you have just Donkey or Diddy. So Enguarde,
yeah, as much as I love Rambi, I think Enguarde might be like a little more useful because he affects just movement in general when you're in the water. You no longer have to keep pressing that button. He's great.
Rambi can be a little bit slow and cumbersome. He's heavy, whereas Enguarde does give you that nimbleness that wasn't there before. Yeah. And Enguarde can take out all underwater enemies except for Clambo and I guess the mincers, you know, those big spiky tires.
Right. I always forget those have a name. I just call them spiky tires.
Those have a name for some reason, and they just called them mincers. Okay. So
I guess they're alive.
no, they're not, though. They just gave them a name. Like, this is something that Rare did back then. They even named the Tornadoes in Donkey Kong Land, which are definitely not alive.
That's true.
So, Enguarde, for as large as he looms, he only appears in 4 levels. Now, granted, they're all of the underwater levels in the original Donkey Kong Country, which it's weird that there's only 4. Coral Capers in the Congo jungle, his debut, and what I take to be his home turf. You know, I always like to imagine where the animal buddies reside, mostly, and I always just picture Enguarde in Coral Capers.
Just swimming around in coral capers.
I always also like to imagine after Crocodile Isle sank, that's where Glimmer moved in.
I like that. They can be friends.
They can be friends, considering they don't appear together in DKC 2.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Coral Capers in the Congo jungle, Clam City in Vine Valley. Well, really, I mean, it's in the Vine Valley world, but it's actually out in the ocean, not in Vine Valley proper. Croctopus Chase in Gorilla Glacier, and Poison Pond in Creme Croc Industries Incorporated. But I think we think of the Animal Buddies as having a much more outsized presence in the original Donkey Kong Country because of those damn token games.
That's true. You can just get those at any point.
Yeah, and you will get yanked. You'll get yoinked even from the game, from the action, and be forced to play these. These were terrible. This was one of the things that actually was a major misstep in the original Donkey Kong Country.
Yeah.
I didn't hate them at the time, but whenever I replay Donkey Kong Country, I am like, ugh. And
I gotta do this.
They knew what they were doing, removing them like immediately in the sequels.
Yeah.
So, Enguarde's token game is also arguably the worst one. Out of 4 bad mini games, this is the worst, I would argue.
I would say so. Yeah.
Yeah, like Rambi is, but this one, it's hardest to collect the most tokens given just, I guess, the limitations of the layout. And at the very least, it's, I think, the easiest to first stumble upon that enormous animal token that doubles your amount, because you can do it almost instantly, and you're like, what the hell is that? And then you realize that all of these animal token games actually have a big animal token somewhere to the side. But that's not what I think of when I think of the Enguarde animal token game. I think of the fact that Enguarde was swimming in a red sea full of the blood of his vanquished foes.
I never thought about how weird it is to have just a red ocean level.
It's not literally red. I mean, it might be like red tide or something, but I think it's just, it's supposed to be a very moody, maybe set at dusk or something, but
right.
Yeah, it does just look like the tide on Omaha Beach, D-Day.
It is nice to at least have some variety in how the water levels look.
Yeah, I guess, because they have different shades of blue and then green for the poison one.
Yeah.
So, I've got to address, I was going to say the elephant in the room, but that's not till DKC3. I've got to address the second swordfish in the room, Dustin.
This is the infamous second Enguarde.
Second Enguarde, and my weird hang-ups about this, which I fully admit are bizarre compared to how I deal with other instances of this phenomenon. And I'm more than willing to admit when I'm wrong occasionally, but for some reason, I just love arguing about this. And I think it's just because it's so fucking stupid, my headcanon for this. that I'm almost proud of how dumb it is? Let me explain.
You're right.
So there are times, especially in Coral Capers, when you can have Enguarde and then stumble upon a second Enguarde crate. Because, in the original Donkey Kong Country, all the animal buddies are just housed in their crates. And when you are still riding Enguarde and you break open the second Enguarde crate, what happens? Does nothing happen? No. You free a second Enguarde. Now, obviously there's more than one Swordfish around the DK Isles. Like, Enguarde isn't it as far as his whatever subspecies of Swordfish is. DK Isle Swordfish, whatever. And we would have had additional Enguardes in games like Donkey Kong Racing. And I know Donkey Kong Bonanza gets very loosey-goosey, loggy biscotti with multiple Rambies and Squawks. I don't like that. That's one of the things I do cringe that Bonanza does. But I am still far too attached to the idea of there being one primary animal buddy each. There's one prime Rambi, and all those other rhinos that they call Rambies, be it Pauline or whatever, they're just rhinos that have just been branded as Rambies in honor of this one Rambi, right?
Right.
So when I see this second Enguarde, I'm like, well, that just can't be another Enguarde. But for whatever reason, I couldn't accept and then just headcanon that there are two Swordfish animal buddies, like I did with the second Quawks in Parachute Panic in DKC2, which I said, no, that's a separate one because we pass off one to the other. Maybe it's because they weren't freed from their crates, so like there was less weird Donkey Kong metaphysical wiggle room to get around. It was just like you're passing off from one to the other. There's two. That's Squawk, the second purple parrot. And
it's obviously Squawk.
Squawk, right? They appear in the flock together in Donkey Kong Bonanza. It's fine. Nintendo agrees with me. They're my friend. They're my buddy. I'm their Swordfish. And
they gave the okay.
So I argued for years that this second Enguarde wasn't actually a second Swordfish. What was happening was whatever magical properties that are ascribed to the animal crates. And why do they have magical properties? Why do they need to have magical properties? Is it because of the DK barrels and the way that the Kongs just automatically transport to them? Do I think the same thing is happening with the animal crate? They're just fucking blocks of wood that are hollow inside that you store animals in. What are we doing, Hyle? I don't know, Hyle, but this is the way my brain worked in 1994. And so I argued that this was actually a hard light hologram. What was actually happening was Enguarde was actually just being projected to this other point in space-time. And you could then like ride that second Enguarde, but it was the same Enguarde. Dustin.
Yeah, Hyle, I've known this. I've known this has been your stance for years now. Like, so just for as long as we've known each other. And it only just hit me now how ridiculous it is.
Yeah, it's funny because when I try to explain anything, that's really when all of my positions fall apart. Like the other week, I tried to
hearing
explain
it out loud.
The other week on the DKU draft, I tried to explain what the Donkey Kong universe was, and then instantly it just crumbled. It just withered before my eyes, and I was like, "Oh, I'm an idiot."
Wait a minute. Maybe this is stuff I shouldn't be saying out loud.
It turns out Donkey Kong is just a Mario character after all.
It turns out Donkey Kong's pretend.
Oh my god! What a house of cards I've built. No.
Gorillas don't wear ties.
Gorillas don't ride Swordfish through polluted ponds. It doesn't happen.
It's just not done.
So, look, I'm not saying I still believe in the hard light hologram theory. I will say that in sequels, they kind of get around this there are different ways they prevent you from accessing a second version of said animal buddy. There'll either be just a poof of smoke and nothing there, or your animal will just run away and then it'll just be replaced by what's in the crate. They don't make this mistake again. So in my head, I was like, well, there surely must be a reason there. But you could also make the argument that, no, there's just two swordfish. There's Enguarde and this other guy. And who could this other guy be, Dustin?
William.
Well, okay,
William the swordfish.
So I'm looking up right now Swanky's bonus bonanza trivia question, because in Gloomy Gulch, one of his challenges under Gibbon game asked you what your swordfish buddy's name is, and the options are, of course, Enguarde, and there's Swordy, and there's Stabber. So
Stabber.
Could this be Stabber, Dustin? It might be Stabber.
He has a crazy look in his eyes.
I'm not saying I fully believe that this could be Stabber, the swordfish, but I'm also not entirely 101% opposed to there being a Stabber. Because look, later on, in Jungle Beat, I would do this again. There would be Flurl the flying squirrel, and in one level, there's two of these flying squirrels. So I said, oh, well, if Flurl is a portmanteau of flying squirrel, then that must also be a portmanteau of a flying squirrel, but not Flurl. So I'm going to call him Sky with a Q.
You know what? I would say this swordfish being Stabber is more likely than it being a hard light hologram.
We'll see. We'll see. Because, again,
we'll see. They'll get into it at some point, probably.
Nintendo likes what I'm spewing. We're friends now. So
they're like, well, hold on. That hard light hologram thing, there could be something to that.
I've been pumping this garbage out for decades now, so it might be too late to rectify it, even if I have a come to Swordfish Jesus moment. Swordfish Jesus would also be an okay name for the second Enguarde.
It'd be pretty good.
Might offend some people.
Yeah, it might be better not to do it.
Because he could walk on water, and Enguarde's the opposite of that.
That's true. It's just not logical.
It's just that doesn't work. Although, that would explain his Animal Token game, because he turned that water into wine.
No way, Hyle. No way you just said that to me right now.
Red wine, yeah. Which is, it sucks, because I'm more of a white wine kind of guy.
I don't drink wine.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought you did.
I can't relate.
I thought you were just a wine connoisseur, knowing all these French words like Enguarde.
Yeah, and I'm also drinking all the time.
I just muted my mic. I was laughing, but I muted my mic because I went to take a drink. When you said you drink all the time.
Yeah,
but
me too.
Sadly, it is just water, unless Enguarde Swordfish Jesus has gotten to it first.
How do you think I get through these podcasts?
How do I think I get through life as a Donkey Kong journalist?
That's a good point. Thankfully, Swordfish Jesus is here to help us out.
So yeah, keeping an open mind, maybe 2027 will be the year of Stabber. Does you're like, hey,
it's got to happen sooner or later.
I'm proud to announce, as a representative of the Donkey Kong fan community, we have come to the conclusion that there is actually an unsung Donkey Kong animal buddy, Enguarde's twin, Stabber. Everyone, give it up for Stabber. He's been here the whole time. Yay!
It only took 33 years.
33. Also the year Jesus died.
Oh, wow. He's in the 33 club?
Yeah, like all this cool celebrities, like Stabber.
Yeah, Stabber died at 33.
That's why we have to acknowledge him next year, because we have to write his obit.
Oh, man, it feels like we're starting to get to know him.
Chocolate Milk Drinker says, I hope he comes back on the third DKC.
Stabber? Probably.
Stabber. Yeah, maybe Stabber is in Donkey Kong Country 3. It's been a while since I played it. I need to look extra hard.
If he's identical to Enguarde, they could have switched off at any point.
It's also possible that he died long ago, because we're going to be talking about some dead swordfish as well in this episode.
Oh, that's true.
All right. So before we move on from Donkey Kong Country, I want to address once again Funky's fishing, because Enguarde is present, both the Game Boy Color and Game Boy Advance versions of that. And this is where Funky started his business enterprise. Before he had his first airplane, he was renting out these little wooden fishing boats, and Enguarde came as part of the package deal. And in the GBC version, it's just Donkey riding on Enguarde and Diddy is in the wooden boat. In the GBA version, they can switch depending on which Kong is in the lead. But
that's fun.
Yeah. Basically, this is the Kongs sitting on Enguarde and just absolutely murdering Kremlin crew affiliated fish.
That's fine. These fish were probably assholes.
It's just basically Enguarde overseeing the decimation of entire ecosystems, of entire schools in his waters, which, you know, you would think, right? Like, he wouldn't want to do that, but
he's fine with it. He has no problem.
There is the one I really like, though. You know, speaking of somebody who, I'm a vegan, so I don't fish or anything. Although I fish all the time in Sea of Thieves, ironically enough, because it is really relaxing in that game, as opposed to getting shot by bunny hopping sweat lords who come at you. But I like the one Funky's fishing game in the GBA version where you clean up the water. You pull out just bottles floating in the water. That's good. I like that.
That's nice.
So yeah, Enguarde made a big splash, you might say, in the original Donkey Kong Country. And he was right behind Rambi. It was Rambi on Enguarde. That's what all the kids talked about on the playgrounds in early 1995. Sometimes we talked about Winky. Winky was most kids' favorite, but we respected the hierarchy. Like, we knew Rambi and Enguarde were the top of the crop, and Winky was a bit of a wonky mess, but he was fucking cool because he's a big ass frog, and we liked that as a kid.
You knew where the animal buddies ended up, like how they stacked up against one another, and you respected it. Right.
I think Winky, that just really spoke to how great his design is, that we tolerated how shoddy he was, because we just loved hopping on a big frog's back and going to town. But
yeah, I do think the coolness of a big-ass frog outweighs controlling weirdly.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, any time of the day or night, that is going to be my opinion. And I think it stands up to the test of time. You know, I know the cultural mores have changed in the last 3 decades, but I think one thing remains a constant in our ever-changing and evolving society, and that is kids love big-ass frogs you can ride around like a little horsey.
That is true. Some things just never change.
Some things remain evergreen, like a frog jumping around the cave. So...
Oh, because frogs are green.
Well, that one is. He's got orange
that
in
one
him,
in
too.
particular.
He's got orange in him, too, and that's a good color combo. We like that.
Yeah.
Donkey Kong Land came out next, though. It was the second game in the chronology. And for as important and beloved as Enguarde was in Donkey Kong Country, I think we expected him to be in Donkey Kong Land, considering, you know, Rambi was in it and Espresso was in it. He wasn't. It was just Rambi and Espresso. So the question is, where was he in Donkey Kong Land? It's a little bit odd, given that the entire second world is the sunken civilization of Kremlantis.
Yeah, you know, thinking about it, I don't know game development. I don't know how hard things are, but to me, it doesn't seem like it would be that hard to get Enguarde working in these stages.
I don't know. I mean, they got him working.
Maybe it was.
They got him working in the Donkey Kong Land sequels, but the original Donkey Kong Land is actually built on the Battletoads GB engine, so who knows? I mean, maybe it was just one of those things where it's like the Battletoads actually hate Swordfish, and that just carried over.
I hate Swordfish, dude!
That just carried over into the DNA when they reskinned Rash as Donkey Kong.
It just wouldn't be in the spirit.
Yeah, but I found it weird that, Enguarde wasn't there. Like, Winky kind of made sense, but yeah, Espresso. Now, again, we like Espresso because he was in Banjo Pilot, and I didn't hate that Espresso was there, and that really actually made Espresso a little bit cooler in my eyes because he could then stomp on the baddies in Chimpanzee Clouds, and it was very satisfying. And
yeah, Donkey Kong Land really helped Espresso.
Yeah, so my childhood headcanon at the time was that because, you start off with the Gangplank Galleon docked on the edge of the Congo jungle, and then you go to Kremlantis. So my headcanon was that you're going to the offshore islets off the coast of the main Donkey Kong Island, what we would come to know as the DK Isles. And I was like, well, this is the second adventure. Maybe Donkey and Diddy just think it's too dangerous to bring too many of their allies because they don't know what dangers await in these offshore little islets. And, we don't want
to put more animals in danger than we need to.
Lots of traps could be awaiting, especially wading into Kremlantis, which was an extension of the former Kremlin Empire. Now, this, of course, doesn't really hold up when you consider that the very next game after Donkey Kong Land is Donkey Kong Country 2, where they go to the Kremlin homeland, and they just bring basically everybody. Even in the GBA version, we learn they bring Candy and Espresso and Winky's there just in the background. So like everybody comes along for the journey in DKC 2. So I think you can just rationalize it though, because we know, or I think it's implied that Cranky is helping to distribute the Animal Buddy crates because we see the Rambi crates on the porch of Cranky's cabin, and his relationship with the Animal Buddies is kind of developed throughout the series. So either he had trouble delivering the animal crates to these offshore islets, or considering the plot of Donkey Kong Land is Cranky is really salty about Donkey Kong Country and he really wants Donkey and Diddy to fail. Maybe he just decided, I'll give you Rambi and I'll give you Espresso.
Take him or leave him.
Yeah, you're not getting Enguarde this time. Let the Nemos have you.
Maybe Enguarde had his niece's recital that day.
Yeah, maybe. His niece, Stabber.
I have to go to Stabber's recital. Sorry, I promised my sister I'd do this.
Hello to S Monaco 14, who says Enguarde with 3 blue hearts, of course, representing Enguarde and Stabber. And what was the other one? Sortie? I don't know.
Sortie.
Me Muppet is here. Hello, Me Muppets.
Hello.
So yeah, in Enguarde, not in Donkey Kong Land, which made the underwater levels like Nautilus Chase all the more terrifying, because Enguarde really does give you that shield underwater. Like, he provides that extra hit for one thing. So considering that you did not have that in Donkey Kong Land, it really did make some of those underwater stages all the more anxiety inducing.
Enguarde really is helpful. It's something you kind of, don't appreciate when it's happening. And then you think about it and it's like, well, you don't have to keep pressing the button to swim. You can take out any or almost any enemy.
Yeah.
He He really is probably the most useful swordfish I've ever seen.
How many swordfish do you see, really, though, Dustin?
Thousands.
You might be seeing
That's
marlins.
a lie.
You might be seeing marlins, though.
That's true. That's true. You can't count on all of them being swordfish.
That was also a thing I had to get over as a kid, is I would always see like marlins advertised, like when I'd be going to the beach and you start seeing them on signs and be like, it's a swordfish. And then some asshole would come up and say, actually, it's a marlin. They're indigenous to these waters. And I'm like,
you stupid small child.
Oh, that's disappointing because I like swordfish because of the Donkey Kong game.
Yeah, now I don't care at all.
But yes, Enguarde, super helpful in Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy's Kong Quest. His second appearance, and this was also, alongside Squawks, his box art debut. Because yes, Enguarde is on the edge of the, at least NTSC box art for Donkey Kong Country 2. You can see him in the water next to Lockjaw looking up at the caged Donkey Kong.
Man, this box art is just so chock full of guys. Chock full of people.
That's the thing. I'm saying that, like, one thing I wish they would bring back are box arts chock full of guys. Because it's too minimalistic these days.
Yeah.
I like...
They want it nice and simple and readable, but then you don't get Enguarde the swordfish on your box.
Yeah, I like the Where's Waldo or Where's Wally effect, where you just pour over a box art and just try to look for all the details for hours on end.
Although, to be absolutely fair, I think if they put Enguarde on the box art for Returns in Tropical Freeze, I would have been severely disappointed.
That's
with
what
the
happened.
Actual game.
That's what happened when they put Glimmer on the box of Donkey Kong Land 2.
I know there were rioters.
It was me. There's a quiet riot going on inside my head at the very least. I still think we should have a class action lawsuit against Nintendo, and I don't want to really do that because, again, I'm their swordfish, but really,
it would be weird now.
It wouldn't be cool, and then I wouldn't get all the little perks like getting Donkey Kong 64 released on the day we launch Stinky Ape Summer 2026. In the instruction manual for DKC2, these aren't very interesting, these instruction manual excerpts. I don't know why I put them in here.
Can I read this one,
please,
since you read the last one?
Please.
Okay. Enguarde adds invaluable assistance in aquatic settings. While riding Enguarde, you don't need to press the B button to swim. If you press the Y button, Enguarde will dash forward and use his sharp bill to knock out enemies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So...
that is true. That is what he does.
They kind of bury the lead, though, in that they don't even bring it up, because Enguarde, like Rambi, has also developed a super move in DKC2. And I guess in the year between Donkey Kong Country and Donkey Kong Country 2, he just got better at stabbing. And
he was practicing his stabbing.
So if you hold A, you can do the super stab, which will have Enguarde like charge up his bill and then just take off through the water. And not only can this break open walls, because there are secret passages underwater in DKC2, but it can also do things like beat sinking waters. So if like the water is draining out of a ship hull or something, and you need to get up topside to get that hero coin, you've got to quickly do a super stab before the waters recede.
Yeah, not only can it charge through water, it can charge through walls for secrets. It can charge through torsos, too.
So many torsos got stabbed, super stabbed even, in DKC.
Not a lot of survivors.
Yeah. Here's a little fact, though, about DKC2's plot that is canon. Diddy and Dixie rode Enguarde, at the very least, to the Gangplank Galleon. According to the Game Boy Advance remake's opening story, they are arguing about when they're going to go to rescue Donkey Kong, and Diddy says, "No, we must go now. Enguarde will take us."
I like that Enguarde gets to be a part of the story.
I like that.
Well, it's like when they took the Rambies over to Ingot Isle.
Yeah.
In Bonanza.
Yeah, because that is one of the questions that sometimes arises is, wait, how do the Kongs get from one island to another? Or how do they cross large bodies of water? Like, it's never really explained. Like in Diddy Kong Racing, it's just like, oh, okay, but how did Diddy get to Timbers Island if he was trying to keep it a secret? And just take off.
I was thinking that all throughout my childhood.
It's like, I'm sure he didn't swim all that distance. So
what are you trying to pull here?
It makes sense that, he would ride Enguarde or some such.
Yeah. I love that the animal buddies are happy to help, I assume.
I mean, you're just going for a swim. You just instead of swimming that way, Enguarde, what if you swim this way? What if you swim north for 3 hours?
Yeah, I guess it's what else is he gonna do?
Yeah, pretty much his whole day is swimming.
I guess I could swim some more, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what does it matter to you, Enguarde? Come on now. You swim in cold waters, you swim in stanky waters. It doesn't matter.
It's not like I can go watch TV or anything.
Enguarde appears in 5 levels in Donkey Kong Country 2. That's one more than Donkey Kong Country.
That's a step up.
Lockjaw's Locker in the Gangplank Galleon Hull. Lava Lagoon in Crocodile Cauldron, which also has him appearing alongside Clapper. Hey, now. Then Enguarde doesn't appear for the next 3 worlds. There's a wide gulf of time that Enguarde just doesn't show up.
They make you miss Enguarde.
Yeah, well, he reappears in K. Rool's Keep in both Arctic Abyss and Clapper's Cavern, once again alongside Clapper. And then, of course, he's part of the Gauntlet in the Lost World's Animal Antics, the final regular stage of the game. He appears as the second animal buddy in the Ice Cavern section after Rambi, but before Squitter. And then, of course, followed by Squawks and Radley after him. It's interesting that he doesn't appear in Glimmer's Galleon. I feel like there's kind of a Mandela effect where people remember Enguarde in Glimmer's Galleon, but no, Enguarde does not appear anywhere in Glimmer's Galleon.
I wonder if it's just because, well, in DKC 1, he was in every water level. I wonder if maybe some people think back to DKC 2 and think, no, that he has to have been in every water level there too, right?
Or,
no.
Yeah, if I've never encountered him, he must just be there hidden in one of the compartments somewhere, and I've just never found him. I just
never ran into him.
Right. I think that was my assumption for the largest time until I got online and started comparing notes, and I was like, well, no, he's not there. But I also have the player's guide then, too, so that could have told me. Of course, the player's guides can be wrong.
That's true.
Like when they said
anyone can be wrong.
Like when they called Quawks Purple Squawks, or they called the Hard Light Hologram Enguarde.
Yeah, what the hell is that about? It's obviously Stabby.
Stabber
or whatever.
Stabber the Hard Light Hologram. Let's just split the difference.
It doesn't matter. She's dead.
Enguarde's niece, who was actually just fictional, was just a hologram.
Yeah, it turns out Stabber never existed, but Enguarde just really wanted to have a niece.
He didn't want the full commitment of a daughter, mind you. He wanted to be the fun uncle.
Yeah, I get to... I get to have fun and be the cool uncle for this kid, but I don't have to actually take care of them.
Yeah, it's a win-win. I can just do things like give her wine.
There you go. See, I turned the whole ocean into wine.
Don't tell Mr. and Mrs. Stabber.
Okay.
So the Kongs can physically transform into Enguarde for the first time via the animal barrels. And maybe this also helped my Hard Light Hologram malarkey, given that we do get like an actual physical transmutation here from the Kongs going from monkeys into the form of their animal friends. Although I always maintain that you are actually playing as the animal friends, like their soul isn't there or something. Like, it's not just, hey, I'm Diddy Kong, but I'm a fish now. Whoa.
Now I'm a swordfish. Never thought you'd see that.
And of course, Bonanza does raise some interesting questions about this. Like, is there some Bananergy at work here? Maybe, you know, given
that's a good question.
Given a similarity,
I never thought to tie the transformations here into the transformations from Bonanza.
Oh, I'm working on a video right now, Dustin, and I'm considering all of the angles. But I do think that every time you transform into Enguarde or Rambi or Squitter or Radley, you are actually them. Because it would feel so much less if you weren't actually controlling your animal friends, because part of the appeal of the animal buddies is, holy shit, I've got a swordfish friend.
Yeah, transforming into the animal buddies has never really sat well with me. Like, it is just what is happening, but I was like, I've already been playing as Diddy and Dixie. I don't want to play, like, you're giving me Enguarde. I don't want to play as them turned into Enguarde.
The visual of them riding atop the animal buddies is so much more satisfying than just controlling the animal buddies. And I understand why they did it. There are areas in the game where you have to be the animal buddies. You can't lose the animal buddies. So it makes sense. But I do think it was used as a crutch as the series went on under Rare.
Yeah. I don't love it, but it's fine. You know, I've made peace with it.
Here's another interesting piece of trivia, or maybe it's not interesting at all if you're common folk. If you're just one of the normies out there, this would actually not interest you at all. But Enguarde was originally going to be in the glass tank in the Monkey Museum. It was originally an aquarium and not a terrarium. They swapped him out with Winky relatively late in development. They also replaced the Rambi animal token that was going to be next to the aquarium with Espresso's animal token.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense to actually switch both out with the animal buddies who aren't represented in Donkey Kong Country 2. Like, actually,
just get them in there in some way.
Yeah, put Winky in the glass case and honor Espresso. Of course, Espresso would later just be put into the GBA remake with Espresso Racing. But yeah, I like that they thought to do that because it meant so much as somebody who's already becoming a huge super fan of this series to see, oh yeah, they're not in this game, but they are acknowledged.
Yeah, so a good choice at the end of the day.
Yeah. In my show notes for Donkey Kong Land 2, I wrote, fucks to you, Glimmer, and I'm not sure what that's what that's about.
Yeah, I don't know what the context would be for that.
I think it's because Glimmer is on the box art of DKL2, and he's not actually in DKL2, but there is a stage in DKL2 called Glimmer's Galleon, but you actually do get to ride or actually transform into Enguarde in that version of Glimmer's Galleon.
Yeah, I guess in that context, I would get fucks to you.
Fucks to you, Glimmer. You thought you were such a hot piece of shit getting that water level all to yourself. Well, guess what? You're not even in this game. So, Donkey Kong Land 2, it's Enguarde's Donkey Kong Land Trilogy debut. The first time he has been playable in handheld form. And this is also the first game in which the Kongs only transform into Enguarde and never ride him.
Wow.
Yeah, this sucks.
Yeah. I hate it. I just do not like it.
It's a concession that the later handheld Donkey Kong titles under Rare, namely the back half of the Land trilogy and Donkey Kong Country for the Game Boy Color. It's a concession they made, perhaps because of technical limitations. I don't really know. Perhaps just because of visibility, but yeah,
maybe too much to have sprites on the Game Boy showing them riding around on guard. I get it.
Because they did that in Donkey Kong Land for Rambi and Espresso, but that was a different engine, so I don't know. I don't know how it came about, but this is what they settled on. So, yeah. Enguarde appears in Lockjaw's Locker, Lava Lagoon, which is in Creme Cauldron, because they combined the two worlds, Glimmer's Galleon, also in Creme Cauldron, and Arctic Abyss in K. Rool's Keep. Animal Antics only has Rambi, Squitter, and Radley in this version.
Boy, how could they live with themselves?
I mean, I don't want to get into my argument that Donkey Kong Land 2 could plausibly be a separate adventure in the canon, because I've already made an ass out of myself trying to describe what a hard light hologram of a swordfish is. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to embarrass myself anymore.
Understandable.
Yeah, but at this point, Enguarde was really, like, locked into the series. He was really considered vital, because why wouldn't you have him in there? He's awesome, and he makes the underwater levels so much more fun. In fact, in Donkey Kong Country 3, the game that decided Rambi could take the year off, or just decided, we already have this gray savanna animal in the game. Let's not have this other one. Rambi wasn't in DKC 3, but Enguarde came back. And along with Squawks, he's the only animal buddy to appear in all 3 entries of the original Donkey Kong Country trilogy.
That's wild. Just a perfect attendance record across all 3 of them.
Yes, although he wasn't.
I guess if you're counting the lands,
if you're counting the lands, then nobody has a perfect attendance record. But
right, but if you're only counting countries, he's doing pretty good.
I would say by late 1996, you could make the argument that Enguarde had eclipsed Rambi because of this fact, and it wouldn't last long. And Rambi would have his revenge by the retro duology. But by this point, the main 3 were considered Rambi, Enguarde, and Squawks. And then maybe Squitter was hovering close as a 4th, like, big-time animal buddy. So Enguarde, God, all of the character bios and descriptions in DKC3's manual, they're just so void of life and personality compared to the others. This one says, if you caught Enguarde in a previous adventure, you know he's a keeper. I think that's a fishing reference. Like, if you reeled in... keeper. If you reeled in Enguarde, you wouldn't toss him back, which would kill him. It would kill him.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to do that.
No, you throw him back. Anyway,
Enguarde's my friend.
Oh, if you don't cut up your plastic rings that your cans or bottles come in, then that's great, because you'll have a wiggling Enguarde the swordfish caught in them.
Oh no!
Remember that when you were a kid? Did you have that?
Oh no, I remember.
They always told you, cut up your plastic rings because they're going to wind up in a lake.
And you'll kill little animals with them.
And I'm like, how are they all winding up in lakes?
Are you telling me all of these end up in the ocean?
But here's the thing. I still cut them vigorously. I cannot leave one single loop left unattended.
Right. I mean, that just makes sense. You don't want Enguarde to die.
You don't want Enguarde to die. Unlike the DKC3 instruction manual, which reveled in the possibility.
Yeah, he's a keeper.
Using his incredible swimming ability and his sharp bill to knock out enemies, Enguarde is a great friend to have on your side. Well, usually under your side, under your bottom.
Yeah, someone's gonna get a letter for that one.
I should. Could you imagine if I wrote a letter to Nintendo of America about the 1996 DKC 3 instruction manual, 30 years late. And I would say,
Actually, you do
this
not have On Guard on your side. He's actually below you. Please rectify this.
I should do that, Dustin, for the 30th anniversary this fall, and just see what happens.
Just see where it gets you.
And I'll say at the very end, this was a dare that my friend Dustin Jackson put me up to.
And his address is this.
Here's his phone number. Here's his online handles. Here's how you can dox
Here's his
him.
debit card. Make sure you block any transactions from that.
Right. Cancel all of his accounts.
I would be devastated.
You wouldn't be able to play Donkey Kong 64 on the NSO.
Yeah, or anything else ever again.
Traveler of the Stars says Hyle and Bottoms. I do talk about Bottoms an awful lot.
That's our favorite thing about you.
I mean, statistically, I've got to talk about one half of the body.
That's true. And it sure as hell ain't going to be the top, I'll tell you that much.
I mean, the bottom's where all the fun happens. All the magic.
Yeah, that's where the feet are.
And the mystery, let's be honest.
That's true. The feet and the mystery.
So yeah, his abilities from DKC2 carry over here. He can be ridden, he can be transformed into. He appears in Title Trouble and Like Orangutanga, Baza's Blockade, Cotton Top Cove, Floodlit Fish, Razor Ridge. He appears in Pothole Panic, which is a very fun stage with multiple animal buddies. That's also in Razor Ridge. He's in Poisonous Pipeline in Chaos Core. But speaking of Razor Ridge, it's a very important world for Enguarde because he fights his own boss battle for the first time in Razor Ridge. He fights Barboss.
Man, DKC3 was really good for On Guard.
Yeah, Squawks got that little shine in Donkey Kong Country 2 and Land 2, where he fought King Zing, and he was like, oh, the first animal buddy who gets to fight a boss character. But On Guard got it in DKC 3, and then later in DKL 3 as well. So yeah, DKC 3 was good to On Guard, and the Game Boy Advance remake made it even better because On Guard got even more coverage in that game because they added the new world Pacifica, which was obviously water themed. And that meant On Guard got 2 more levels out of the deal. He was in Dingy Drain Pipe, which was a flooded drain pipe level. And he was in Stormy Seas, which was the hurricane boardwalk level.
Wow, they really went all out for On Guard here. He gets 2 extra levels. DKC3 really was the height of On Guard mania.
Honestly, everything is downhill for On Guard from there. But
yeah, unfortunately.
Also, I should point out that you fight Barboss in Pacifica rather than Razor Ridge in DKC3 for the GBA, and I always account that as an underwater tunnel connecting the 2 worlds, and that's where Barboss actually resides.
I can buy that.
You got to split the difference, Dustin. You got to make both work. You got to reconcile the discontinuity, so then you can say to people who don't know any better, Donkey Kong actually has perfect canon.
Yeah, you can prove that you are better than them by saying this.
All these Zelda fans who are like, I don't know when Tears of the Kingdom takes place. What are the timelines? And I'm just like, did you know that Barboss actually resides in an underwater tunnel? And that's how you can reconcile Razor Ridge and Pacifica. And they're just like, I wish I was a Donkey Kong fan.
All of the Zelda fans come over to DKC3.
They want what we've got, but we're not giving it away. All right. Well, Donkey Kong Land 3 is more of the same. Once again, you could only transform into him via animal barrels, but it's a bit weird because unlike Donkey Kong Land 2, On Guard can't do the super stab in DKL 3.
That's weird if they already had it working in Land 2.
They must have had to take it out because of the processing power of the sheepy shop or something. Like, well, we can add this card game, but we got to take something out.
Yeah, does he really need the super stab?
I don't understand the decisions. And of course, every DKL game was like supervised by somebody different at Rare. So there's a lot of like turnover. It's like, you're working on the Donkey Kong Land game this year. So that's why you have all these various inconsistencies. But I don't know. I guess you could say that maybe he pulled a muscle after fighting that boss in DKC3 and he just didn't have it in him to do the super stab anymore.
Ooh, I just can't be doing that today. I slept on my fin funny.
That's just the worst too, because you're like, I know I'm going to be better in a day or two, but I'm going to complain about this for sure.
I'm just not going to be able to break through walls for a couple days.
So, Enguarde mostly appears in Cape Codswallop, which is the first world of the game. And
That's a good name.
Okay, Donkey Kong Land 3, I just gave it shit for excluding the super stab. But Donkey Kong Land 3, if it has a 1-up on any other Donkey Kong game, it's the best world and level names of any damn Donkey Kong game.
They really put in the work. Cape Codswallop.
Cape Codswallop. So check this out. Enguarde appears in the levels Seabed Shanty, Ford Knox, and my personal favorite, Coco Channel. Because, okay, Coco is the clownfish.
Yeah.
And a channel, it's like an underwater... but Coco Chanel was a famous designer and famous Nazi collaborator.
It's a thinker.
Yeah, it's a think. Donkey Kong Land 3 really elevates the material into pretentious, smug, self-satisfied references, and I'm all for that, Dustin.
And if you don't get these level names, you can get the fuck out. You don't get to play Donkey Kong Land 3.
It makes me feel cultured for once for doing what I do. Oh, I'm a Donkey Kong journalist, but let me show you the Coco Channel. Do you get it?
You get it? It's pretty good.
He also has a rematch in that first world with Barboss, yet again.
Barboss is like Enguarde's mortal enemy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, which is why I really liked that we had a big Lurchin fossil in Donkey Kong Bonanza, because it's just like, yeah, man, Enguarde would love seeing this dead remnant of a Lurchin.
Like, yeah, look who outlived who.
Unfortunately, we also have a fossil that might be the dead remnants of Stabber.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Anyway.
Stabber was under our eyes the whole time.
The fossils might not actually be animal remnants. They might just be imprints. But, you know, generally,
right.
what makes an imprint? It's a dead body. Enguarde also shows back up in the level Quarrel. Let me try to enunciate that better. Quarrel. Like you're having a quarrel. I can't say it. Quarrel.
Put a W between the Q and the U.
Quarrel. It's like rural. It's a word.
Quarrel. It's
Quarrel.
tough.
Yeah. Rural quarrel.
I feel like this podcast is really firing on all cylinders.
I'm not drunk. I swear I haven't been drinking wine.
And everybody sit down. We're going to wait until Hyle can do this.
I will pass a breathalyzer test if I need to. Quarrel. The first level.
There you go.
It's the first level of World 2 Primate Plains. So bam, right after you get out of Cape Codswallop, there's Enguarde some more, and you're like, damn, Enguarde's everywhere in this game. And then he just disappears, and then he appears one more time in Deep Reef Grief in World 4's...
That's a good one.
In World 4's Great Ape Lakes.
That's a good name.
There's so many good names, that's what I'm saying. Black Forest Plateau. Come on. Enguarde's not in that, but it's a great name.
That's true.
Yeah. So yeah, Enguarde, he's in DKL3, can't super stab, but still gets a bit of shine. And that would be what would probably be it for Enguarde. For the Enguarde fans out there, unless, you're just lovingly staring at renders in player's guides and instruction manuals and on the burgeoning dial-up internet of the era. Because Enguarde would not appear until Donkey Kong 64. Now, to be fair, there weren't any Donkey Kong games betwixt Land 3 and Donkey Kong 64, save for Diddy Kong Racing. And while Squawks was incorporated into the story of Diddy Kong Racing, we don't get any evidence that Diddy rode Enguarde to Timbers Island, although, as we have already discussed, probably?
Probably it.
But Enguarde did not show up in, Banjo-Kazooie or anything.
A real missed opportunity.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry to break it to you, everybody. Enguarde is
I've been looking for Enguarde and Banjo-Kazooie for years.
Who knows?
You just invalidated my research.
Maybe in the Evercade and Super Pocket version.
Hey, never say never.
Never say never. That was one of the deals. Rare was like, okay, we'll let you put Donkey Kong 64 on NSO. You can put, Jetpack and our logo and everything all over the place. Banjo and Kazooie's instruments are in the background of Candy's Music Shop. You can do all that, but you've got to let us have Enguarde for Banjo-Kazooie, finally. And they were like, deal.
You drive a hard bargain. We know how in demand Enguarde is these days.
I mean, after this episode, either Enguarde or Stabber will really have a bit of a renaissance.
You're going to see their appearances shoot up like crazy.
Renaissance, also a famous French word.
Oh, like Enguarde.
Like Enguarde, that's what I'm saying. It all connects.
Hyle, you're a thinker. That's what I like about you. You know how to make these things work.
I know how to connect the dots. That's what I do. All right. Well, Donkey Kong 64. Now, Donkey Kong 64 is really where Rare starts shitting the bed. And for more on that,
look forward to playing it soon.
Yeah. For more on that, be sure you're an NSO Plus expansion pack subscriber. No, again, Donkey Kong 64, I like quite a bit about Donkey Kong 64. I'm not going to besmirch it. I know it has its fans. DK Vine was founded because of Donkey Kong 64. But one of the missteps I feel it makes is it deprioritized the animal buddies for the first time in the Donkey Kong series. And it really, I think, half-heartedly included them out of a sense of obligation without having any ideas really on how to use them. And the only animal buddies that you can control are Rambi and Enguarde. Squawks, of course, has a pretty prominent role as your guide throughout the game. And then there's the new animal buddy, Glower the Tadpole, that Chris Seaver developed in like a day when they pulled him from Conquer to quickly work on Donkey Kong 64 because they had to have it out by November because they promised Nintendo, and their big holiday marketing was all centered on the game.
Right.
So anyway, Rambi and Enguarde, you can't ride them in DK64. They pulled this shit again. But even more bizarrely, instead of bringing back the animal transformation barrels, they introduced animal transformation boxes or crates, which are basically visually similar to the animal crates, except you then kind of merge into them and then pop out as the animal buddy.
Yeah, Hyle, what are we doing here?
What
just
were
mixing
they
them like this?
Thinking, God. And Enguarde, he appears in everybody's favorite world, Gloomy Galleon?
I know it's my favorite world for sure.
Okay, I'll say this about Gloomy Galleon. I really like the vibes. I like the aesthetic. But it's like, oh, well, that's a very symmetrical turd.
Yeah. Boy, I think, well, it should have been good.
Yeah, I mean, I can't believe I passed that out of my body. Yeah, I don't really want to look at it too long. It's amazing it's in that shape, but we really need to flush this and get the hell out of here.
Let's just not be here any longer than we have to be.
So, Enguarde, he helps you navigate the underwater areas of Gloomy Galleon, but weirdly, only Lanky can use his transformation crate.
Only Lanky can become Enguarde, which is, like, logically makes sense, I guess. The blue one gets to be the blue animal, but, like, why? Why not just let any of them?
But Rambi's gray, and, like, Donkey Kong didn't have, like, gray-colored bananas.
DK can only ride the gray animal buddies.
Here's how I headcanon this. I know you want to know this.
Okay.
Yeah,
I do.
Okay. So, only Lanky could use the Enguarde transformation crates because Funky was tinkering with the technology, trying to merge the crates with the barrels for some reason, and he only had time to calibrate this for Lanky's DNA.
Yeah, that's probably it.
It's like, oh, shit, I only got the blood sample from Donkey and Lanky. Okay, well, I'll just give Rambi to Donkey and Enguarde to Lanky.
I didn't know we were going to be doing this so soon.
Yeah, I mean, Chunky thought he wanted him to jizz in a cup, and that was it when Funky was after.
But he did it anyway.
He did it anyway.
He said, that one's for you.
You know, he's got a lot of anxiety, this Chunky Kong, and it helped him relax for a little bit of time, so it's fine.
Yeah, you know what? Good for him.
Good for him. You know what? There's no shame in it.
There's a little shame, but
there's a time and a place, and you want to do it in a private, enclosed area. Don't be like Bumper.
Yeah.
And then maybe...
But I mean, if there's a time and a place, but if that was not what Funky wanted, that was not the time or the place.
No, then it's a sex crime.
Yeah, that's true.
I can feel Dustin be like, can we move on? Can we move on to actually get back to talking?
I'm always down to talk about semen samples.
Well, I mean, that's good because coming this summer to the DK Vine merchandise store. Oh, that's unrelated. I was just going to say we have a new shirt coming to the store in June. We're going to have Stinky Ape summer merchandise. That's just a plug for the store. I wasn't actually suggesting anything untoward.
No, we never would.
No, never.
Heaven forbid.
Never. So, Enguarde kind of sucks in DK64, and I really don't want to be so dour about DK64 when it's going to be such a hot topic for the next couple of weeks, but he can't attack enemies in the game. What are we doing? What are we
That's
doing?
like his whole thing.
That's like half of his thing at the very least. That's basically his whole thing, or 75% of his thing in the first DKC. Maybe his half thing in DKC2 onward. He does have a new ability, though. He can jump out of the water.
Oh, his first time jumping out of the water. Not first time out of the water, but first time jumping of his own free will.
Even Enguarde wanted to get the hell out of Gloomy Galleon.
Get me out of here.
He really wanted to, like, go to Fungi Forest or Creepy Castle.
Who can blame him? I'm with him.
So, Enguarde can destroy treasure chests, though, so you get to use his bill for a little bit of destruction and mayhem.
Yeah, that's fun.
It's fun. But again, I feel like the animal buddies are just very undercooked in DK64.
Yes.
I do,
for sure.
I do like Enguarde's polygonal design. It's the first time we've gotten a new model for Enguarde for the entirety of his existence up until this point.
Oh, yeah. I mean, for all my issues with DK64, how it looks is not one of them. It's a very pretty game.
It's a very pretty game with a lot of lighting effects that still kind of impress me. Those swinging lanterns in the hallways. We love it. We love so many things here at the Kongversation, at DK Vine. We love swinging hall lights. We like super stabbing.
We love super stabbing here.
All the things that we appreciate. There's also Enguarde Arena, which you can unlock with 6 banana fairies. And this is a bonus game that you then select from the mystery menu. And this is just basically how many DK rings can you swim and jump through as Enguarde in the time. How high of a score can you get?
I don't like this one. I like the Ramby one. I think the Ramby one's fun. Swimming through hoops with Enguarde's controls. I don't love it very much.
I would say Ramby was a more successful conversion for Animal Buddy dynamics in DK64 than Enguarde. Again, I was glad Enguarde was there.
Oh yeah. I'll take Enguarde being done not very well over not having Enguarde at all.
Especially in retrospect, when Enguarde started to be far more scanty with his appearances. I looked back at DK64 and I was like, well, I'm sorry I didn't appreciate you at that time, Enguarde.
What we had at the time.
We didn't understand it. It was as ephemeral as a hard light hologram that's been turned off. I did want to point out, though, that the animal transformation crates came back in Donkey Kong Country for the Game Boy Color for some reason.
That's true. I guess, is it just another thing where we just can't have this many sprites? We can't do sprites of riding on Enguarde?
Yeah, but then why don't you use the barrels?
I don't know.
There are a lot of DK64 elements that were brought into the Game Boy Color version of Donkey Kong Country, like the coconut gun, menu screen of Donkey Kong standing there is just directly taken from DK64. So maybe it was more just kind of symmetry, more like connecting to this big new game that's just a year old at that point. In a lot of ways, Country for the Game Boy Color felt like the Donkey Kong Land of Donkey Kong 64, if that makes any sense.
It does, even though it shouldn't.
It definitely shouldn't, but that is also why I make the argument, like I make all these other silly little arguments, that it could be a separate adventure, just because it doesn't really do a great job of feeling like Donkey Kong Country at times.
Yeah.
And it helps bring the Rare era kind of full circle then.
That's true. You know, I've never played through Donkey Kong Country for Game Boy Color all the way. Maybe there's a reason.
Well, hopefully it, gets added to NSO eventually, and then you can really form an educated opinion about it.
That's true. Here's hoping.
Here is hope. I hope they all come to NSO. Really.
Yeah, it would be great to just have every Donkey Kong game on here. Even the ones that I don't appreciate as much.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to get one of those when Donkey Kong 64 comes to NSO. No, we're excited about it. We're
true.
happy. We're happy about
it. I'm still going to play through it.
So the buyout represented an interesting time because it effectively scuttled 2 Enguarde appearances that were in the pipeline. And of course, I'm talking about Donkey Kong Racing and Diddy Kong Pilot. Both of these games didn't happen, although Diddy Kong Pilot did become Banjo Pilot. But I still think it's worth talking about where Rare would have taken Enguarde had the buyout not happened. And of course, in the Donkey Kong Racing trailer, we see Tiny and Diddy. They infamously are racing on DK Island Swordfish, if not Enguarde himself, in the sunken ruins of Kremlantis from off of Donkey Kong Land. So eventually Enguarde got there, or is going to get there, and is one of the many reasons that the Donkey Kong Racing trailer was so enticing and has long been held up as the white whale of the Donkey Kong fandom, just given the sheer amount of fan service in that brief sizzle reel.
Even just this one scene looks so fun, just zipping through the water at such a high speed with not just Enguarde, but a purple swordfish.
Yeah, so...
a huge one.
It seems like Tiny is on Enguarde, or a swordfish that more closely resembles Enguarde than the one Diddy is on.
But it's very small.
Yeah. This one, it's got the same coloring as Enguarde. It's a little plumper, but it's also got this real, like, interesting purple shimmer on his scales.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can actually see the scales of Enguarde for the first time. And I think that's really cool. There's like that almost like oil-like quality to it.
It's awesome. It like, I've watched this trailer a million times, and I don't think I really appreciated that until it was pointed out just now.
Yeah, I'm glad I could point out something new after all this time, Dustin. Really. No, genuinely, because I feel like I'm running out of things to say 14 years into this podcast.
Right. And even though it is Enguarde has a purple shimmer on the scales, that's still awesome.
That is still awesome. And Diddy is riding a big purple swordfish, which, hey, maybe that was Stabber. We don't know.
It could have been. Who's to say at this point?
I would try to ask somebody from Rare, but they would just probably not respond to me, or they would say, we don't know. We don't remember.
It is interesting how, especially after Bonanza, we talk about how they handled Rambi and Rambies as a species.
Yeah.
Seeing what they were going to do with Donkey Kong Racing, having multiple different rhinos, multiple different swordfish, it is cool to see here. I think what helps is seeing them in such a wide variety. So it's not just like, oh no, all of the rhinos look the exact same. They all look the same as Rambi, and they're all Rambies. Seeing like different sizes, different colors, a gigantic purple swordfish.
Yeah.
That's cool. Like, I would not have had a problem with this at all.
No, it's definitely more appealing than just Control C'ing and then Control V'ing the animal buddies again and again and again. Not that I dislike that Bonanza did that. I like that there's a bunch of different rhinos and parrots on Donkey Kong Island. I just wish they didn't call them all Rambies and Squawks.
Yeah, just call them rhinos. Just say they're all rhinos. This one's Rambi. This one's Jeremy.
Right. That's the posh Rambi.
Jeremy the posh Rambi. That's such an unposh name for a Rambi.
Jeremy Irons, he's pretty posh.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah. All right. Well,
I don't know why when I hear the name Jeremy, I think like a shitty little brother or something.
There's Jeremy Thorne, who did quite a bit with DK Vine back in the day. Smashed update.
You're right.
Yeah. Yeah, his catchphrase was, "You fucking bitch." Remember that? Good times.
That's pretty good. What a good catchphrase.
Not very
That's
posh,
marketable.
but we're not making that argument, are we?
Exactly.
Yeah. Diddy Kong Pilot, at least the 2003 build of Diddy Kong Pilot, when Rare was really, I was going to say spinning the wheels. I guess there's little wheels on an airplane. They were spinning the wheels trying to make this game work after like the buyout, and Nintendo like already rejected it even when they had their partnership still in effect. So anyway, long story short, Enguarde does appear in the 2003 build of Diddy Kong Pilot, which became Banjo Pilot. He appears in the stage Shore Strife, where he's just jumping out of the water in the background. I like the way he looks in this.
Yeah,
like
he looks good for what he is here.
Yeah, he's pretty detailed for what's just a background cameo. And that model also appears on the Cranky Kong pilot title screen when you access the Cranky Kong pilot mode, where the only playable character is Cranky Kong. You get the title screen change, and you pan across Donkey Kong Island, and Enguarde jumps out of the water.
That's fun. You know what? I like that because, honestly, that's all I need sometimes. I don't need... like, we've talked about how it sucks that Enguarde is not in the retro games. I would have taken just something like that. I don't need... if you can't, like, program Enguarde, you don't want to do water levels in returns. That sucks, but it's fine. But you could just have Enguarde have a background cameo. Just have him flip up out of the water to say, hey, here I am.
Hey, don't forget about me now.
He's constantly doing it, just shoehorning himself in anywhere he can.
We're in complete agreement with that, and that's one thing, I think Cameron and I have talked about this, that we really applaud Bonanza for doing, is, especially in the post-game, just not forgetting about Donkey Kong stuff, and, like, finding ways to honor and acknowledge past elements and characters, even if they don't physically appear, just saying, hey, yeah, we give our little nod here to Ninja Kong.
Yeah, that's all I need.
Yeah, just don't reinvent the wheel or the Swordfish every single time. Well, the buyout then created this really weird time for the Animal Buddies, because the buyout era, we'll say roughly 2003 to 2010, the Animal Buddies did not make much in the way of appearances outside of the Game Boy Advance remake trilogy. They did show up, though, in some surprising places across both Nintendo and Rare games on both sides of the GameCube Xbox divide. And perhaps owing to Grab by the Ghoulies starting development on the GameCube under the Nintendo Rare partnership, there is a pretty fun reference to Enguarde still in Grab by the Ghoulies.
I love it, even though he's dead here.
Well, this isn't actually Enguarde. We don't know if this is Enguarde's niece or some distant relation. This is indisputably a DK Island swordfish, though. It's got the same unique coloring, and these appear throughout Ghoulhaven Hall. The only catch is they're all dead, and they've got the big cartoon X's over their eyes. They're mostly found in the context of food. I believe you can find them in the freezer, and they're also in the dining room where the zombie pirates are having their big banquet. There's one on the table there. There's one that's also mounted on the wall of the boathouse, though. And you can just, like, pick it up, and you can use it to bludgeon skeletons or whatnot, and then it just eventually breaks apart in your hands. Very grisly.
I guess the colors are just off enough that they could do it. You can look at this and say, like, oh, that's supposed to be Enguarde, but it's different enough that there can't be legal action.
Well, they also bend the bill. Like, the bill has been rumpled a little bit. So clearly, however these swordfish died, they tried to do a super stab and it didn't work out well. They skipped bill day at the gym.
Some swordfish just don't have what it takes.
They don't. That's why only Enguarde and his Hardlight hologram niece Stabber can really rise to the occasion.
Good for them.
Grab by the Ghoulies is a great game. Everybody should play it. Hopefully it comes to NSO so more Nintendo loyalists can actually give it a shot. But yeah, this is great because Grab by the Ghoulies is full of references to the broader DKU. It is one of the most DKU games that has ever been developed by Rare. And like all throughout Ghoulhaven Hall, in pretty much every room, there is a reference to either the Banjo-Kazooie series or the Donkey Kong series or Saberwolf or whatever, you know?
Yeah, whatever the hell you want.
Whatever the hell you want. So this was really one of Enguarde's most prominent nods in the aughts, weirdly enough. But it wasn't like Nintendo forgot all about him, although we in the West didn't really get to taste the full fruits of this attempted harvest, because Enguarde, or at least several DK Island swordfish, do appear in Donkey Konga 3. Dustin.
Yeah,
Donkey Konga
that's
3,
fun.
the one we did not get over in these parts, in this neck of the woods, did not come because Donkey Konga 2 was such a financial turd. They decided, no more, please, no more. We don't want that one. Keep it in Japan. Thank you. Which is a shame because
Who would have guessed?
this does look, at the very least, interesting. Although, given how hard and fast Donkey Konga 2 broke me, I'm not saying I'm really mourning that we didn't get this, but I would have liked maybe to experience some of this. But in one of the, I was going to say levels, but I guess they're more scenes that you pan across in Donkey Konga 3.
Right.
One of them is like a beach, presumably Congo Beach. You got little beach cabanas and umbrellas there. And in the shoreline, you've got a bunch of DK Island swordfish. Maybe one of them is Enguarde, but they're all lined up and they're just kind of bobbing back and forth. It's really odd, actually, the way they animated them.
It's like a nightmare.
This is Namco's take on Enguarde, more or less. And for those who have never seen this, you can look it up on YouTube. There's some long plays of Donkey Konga 3 on there in pretty good quality. But I would say that Namco did Enguarde more justice than their horrific, grisly take on Rambi from Donkey Konga 1.
I think so. Like, this at least looks like Enguarde. Like, the Rambi just looks wrong.
Yeah, like, I would say out of the 3 animal buddies that they modeled for the Donkey Konga games, and that's Rambi, Ellie, the elephant, and Enguarde, Ellie looks the best. Like, spot on job with Ellie, folks.
Yeah.
Enguarde's in the middle, and Rambi is just somewhere far, far away, hopefully where I don't have to look at him.
Yeah, because this Enguarde model isn't bad. It's more just the way he animates.
Yes. The way he animates, I'd also say his eyes are way too big.
That is true, yes.
He's got like really bulbous...
Very huge eyes, big pupils.
Yeah, it looks dilated. Like they've all been to the optometrist and they didn't have anybody to drive them home, so they're just kind of waiting in the water until they can get in the car and safely go home. They don't even have those big plastic visors.
Yeah, they're not taking good care of these swordfish. These optometrists.
To be fair, most optometrists will not see swordfish. They will not, like, schedule them as clients, and it's a real problem.
I guess that's true. I guess that is better than nothing.
The reason you don't see any swordfish with glasses is because optometrists are basically bigots.
It really is too bad.
It's a shame.
These poor swordfish. They can't see. They can't even see the walls they're breaking through.
Although this is around the time that developers started having trouble seeing how to incorporate the animal buddies. Nice segue, Hyle. Yeah.
Good one.
Now, we love King of Swing and Jungle Climber here at DK Vine. You're not going to have us argue that we don't like those games. Animal buddies did not appear in them. And to be fair...
Which is too bad. It would have been nice to see them in that sprite style.
It would have been great, and it would have been just fun, even if they were in like some of the crowd scenes. I do understand, like, it might be hard, a little bit clunky to incorporate them, but you could have done some things on those pegboards with some of the animal buddies at the very least.
You could have had Enguarde in the background flipping around.
Yeah. Payon did incorporate the animal buddies with their third and worst game of the 3 Donkey Kong games they made. You know, Donkey Kong Barrel Blast, it is indisputably the worst Donkey Kong game. I don't think anybody's going to argue that point. It's a shame because I like so much about it except the game.
Yeah, except for actually playing it.
Like, it's got so many fun characters, so many fun environments, so many fun ideas. It's
Some
the reason...
great callbacks.
It's the reason we call Quawks Quawks, because it actually brought Quawks back and said, this is his name, everybody around the world.
Yeah, it didn't just say, here he is, Purple Squawks.
Yeah. I mean, God, I love Pang-On, and I love so much about Barrel Blast except the fucking game. And it really...
Yeah.
I was thinking about this earlier when I was compiling the show notes, because I really feel like Barrel Blast, being such a critical failure, really, ended Nintendo's partnership with Pang-On, and I would have liked to have seen them do more with Donkey Kong. A third King of Swing game on a 3DS, or who knows, but...
Just a way to get more Donkey Kong side games, because now he just doesn't get any.
I mean, hopefully, fingers crossed, we're entering an era where he will. They will.
Yeah.
The Kongs in general. But Barrel Blast brought back Rambi and Enguarde as rideable animals. Now, Squawks and Quawks are also in it, so that's great, but they're more items than they are rideable animal buddies. So this is actually Enguarde's last physical appearance to date, aside from being a spirit in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, which I guess by definition would not be a physical appearance. It would be a metaphysical appearance.
Right. Man, it really sucks saying it out loud that it's been that long.
It hurts. It hurts me in my heart region. Now, granted, that might be my diet and my lack of exercise, but it could also be because, Enguarde last appeared in Donkey Kong Barrel Blast / Jet Race. Now, you can free Enguarde from a crate in the tracks Salty Sea and Open Ocean. And it's basically like almost like an on-rails little boost to the race. There are also other things in Barrel Blast, like, you can get on a minecart, for instance, and it basically serves the same function. But I really like the way they incorporated Rambi and Enguarde. It's just a shame that the game doesn't control well.
Yeah. I mean, it's functional at the very least. It's not like a complete mess of a game, but... it's not fun. Your arms get tired very fast.
What's the opposite of functional? It means the same thing, but you swap out fun with bored. Borctional?
Borctional? That's like the Swedish chef from the Muppets.
Oh, you speak Swedish now too, Dustin.
Oh, yeah, well, I don't like to brag.
Wow, you are Mr. Continental over here.
No, it sucks. Even just the other day, I loaded up Barrel Blast just to... I don't know why, just to play it for a little bit, I guess, just to be in a Donkey Kong game again. And boy, that did not last long.
I was going to say Adam and Andrew wanted to punish you, but instead of a spanking, you volunteered to play Barrel Blast instead.
So don't worry, I'll do it. I know what I deserve.
Yeah. No, it would have been great with the DK bongos. I stand by this. It was designed for the DK bongos, and when it switched to the Wii, they were like, we don't want the DK bongos attached to this because that's the GameCube era, and we've got new Play Control Jungle Beat coming out. Even though the bongos are perfectly compatible with the Wii, as is all GameCube hardware, controllers and whatnot, we don't want the DK bongos to be accessible as a control method in Barrel Blast. And
it sucks because
it tanked the game.
Yeah, it sucks because even just imagining it, I would not be holding my arms up, holding both the Wiimote and the nunchuck if the barrel controller worked. That alone fixes, most of the problem.
The movements I have to make with my arms when I play Barrel Blast, very similar to the movements Chunky was making when Funky requested that DNA sample. And really, again, whatever you do in the privacy of your home or residence is fine, but you feel very self-conscious when you do it.
Yeah, and it is an awesome nod to the fans. It is nice fan service of Chunky Kong jacking off, but it doesn't translate over to a nice gameplay experience.
I think that was IGN's review when it came out. There was like, it's chock full of all the fun Donkey Kong fan service, like Copter from Donkey Kong Country 3 and the control mechanics based on Chunky's famous jerk-off sequence in DK64. But sadly, that doesn't translate to a fun experience. It's borktional at best.
And you know what? Very understandable. I agree with that review, I think.
And that's it. That's it for Enguarde, everyone. The story's over. The episode's over. We're done. We're out of here.
Go home.
Now, actually, we have a little bit more to discuss because despite Enguarde not physically appearing in his slinky little swordfish flesh, Enguarde has been referenced several times since Barrel Blast / Jet Race seemingly put him out to pasture, or whatever the aquatic equivalent of that. Open sea? I don't know. Super Smash Bros. Brawl and Super Smash Bros. For Wii U both incorporated Enguarde as a trophy for the Donkey Kong series. And we got some fun new models for Enguarde based off of his...
Look how huge that top fin is.
Yeah, they really went overboard with that. Like, they based it off of his Barrel Blast design, but...
It looks like it's like meant to be like hair, like a mohawk style or something.
I was just
don't love
thinking...
it.
He looks like a Ninja Turtles action figure from the early 90s.
Yeah, what up, dude? I'm Swordfish.
In the live stream, Porygon Q suggested the second Enguarde, who we've been calling Stabber or Hardlight Hologram, could be Marvin the Marlin. And I feel like Marvin the Marlin would be this Ninja Turtles character.
Marvin the Marlin. I like that. I'm going to get his action figure soon. I hope it's one of the ones that makes a silly face when you press the button on the back.
So, the Brawl trophy description. Dustin, would you like to read the Brawl trophy description?
I'd be delighted, Hyle.
Cool.
A swordfish animal buddy. Enguarde always appears on water levels where he can loyally help Donkey Kong get around. Much appreciated, right, DK? Complimenting his cute round eyes, Enguarde's pointed bill proves to be a powerful weapon. One thrust from it will easily down most underwater opponents.
Why is it being weirdly passive-aggressive towards Donkey Kong in that biography?
Much appreciated, right, DK? Maybe you should get him a card or something sometime every once in a while.
Yeah,
piece of
God,
shit.
Now that your mother's dead, why don't you at least reach out to the ones who are still with you, like Enguarde?
Show some appreciation for your friends, you lazy fuck.
Yeah, the tone of Brawl and 4's trophy descriptions get awfully weird. Like, complimenting his cute round eyes. Like, what is that about?
Yeah. At the same time, I do think this model does feel like it's trying to be cuter than past Enguarde. It feels like they queued him up a little bit.
I know, but like, what a weird thing. It's like they didn't have anything to say about Enguarde, so they had to really just pad it out with...
He's got like eyes. He's got like a mouth, I think.
He's blue, some people say.
So the rumor has it.
This is also the same game that in Dixie's trophy description referred to her as Diddy's cutie of a girlfriend. So it could be worse.
Yeah, don't love that.
Nobody...
Donkey Kong's cutie of a swordfish.
What a cutie patootie this one is.
Oh, I just want to pinch Enguarde's little cheeks.
Give him a little piece of hard candy. From my big bowl on the coffee table while I watch the People's Court
how nice
or whatever.
How nice that cutie little swordfish took the time to visit me in my retirement home today.
Yeah, you can sit on the couch there on guard. It's okay. The plastic stays on, so you can get all your fish grease all over it. All right, so for the Wii U. Now, weirdly, the trophy for Enguarde was not in the 3DS version. There are several trophies that appear in both versions and some that are exclusive to certain versions. Enguarde was exclusive to the Wii U. So it says, if you combine this Swordsman of the Sea with the King of the Jungle, you'll get an aquatic duo no enemy can hope to overcome. That's the NTSC version. And PAL, it said, when this Swordsman of the Sea and the King of the Jungle team up, which I feel like is less clunky, but it says, like Rambi the Rhinoceros, Enguarde can dash to blast through foes. Does that mean we should call him the Rhino of the Sea? Or maybe Rambi is the Swordfish of the shores?
I really don't know how I feel about all the joking they do in the Wii U and 3DS trophy descriptions. I guess I like it a little more than just plain, like, very matter-of-fact descriptions, but maybe not.
No, I loved Melee's trophy descriptions because they were very informative, and it felt like you actually learned something about the history of the character and the game they were from. And
I want to learn. I don't need your little jokes.
Stop. As we've already established, Donkey Konging is serious business. And we have no time.
We're not here playing a kid's game.
We have no time for your little guffaws, your little attempts at lighthearted merriment.
This is serious stuff. We take this very seriously.
And, maybe they put his trophy in the Wii U version of Super Smash Bros. 4 because that same year he was famously excluded from Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. And it was kind of a talking point at the time. I mean,
yeah, of all the places for him to come back, you'd think this would be the perfect one.
I don't want to harp on it too much because I'm sure that will come up in the calls or whatever. But I think it was one of those things where we all just assumed Enguarde was going to come back when we saw the water levels. And that water levels were going to be a thing. And we were like, oh, okay, cool. We have that to look forward to. I can't wait for the reveal of Enguarde. And then it just never came. And we all loved Tropical Freeze when it came out. And I don't think there was really any contemporary resentment, more just confusion. And that resentment just kind of grew over time amongst certain members of the fandom and honestly the DK Vine staff. But yeah, it's odd. And I know the excuse or the explanation as well. We thought about it, but we just gave the abilities to the Kongs and it wasn't really needed. But my counterpoint to that is, but then Rambi isn't really needed. You don't really need Rambi, but he's a fun...
And nothing's...
He's a fun
really
on-land tank, basically, and Enguarde could have been that underwater, so... What?
So I think you actually just made the worst game I've ever seen in my life?
The Tropical Freeze is great.
I love it. I love it.
I don't even want to descend into the jocular, haha, Tropical Freeze sucks because it left out Enguarde, because the truth is it's a very excellent 2D platformer, and even
for sure, I love it.
No, I know you know that does. I know you're not being serious. I just know that we do have the reputation of sometimes slagging on the retro duology because they don't include certain characters or they don't have the face on the island or whatever. And in light of the in light of the post-Bonanza world, which restores a lot of the lost iconography, I don't want to get too dismissive of the duology because they were such formative chapters in the series and brought in so many fans who are still with us today. So,
Yeah, I mean, I would say Tropical Freeze is probably my second favorite DKC game. I mean, it drops down a space now that Bonanza's here, but if you're talking strictly DKC, Tropical Freeze, my second favorite. I love that game.
Yeah, Tropical Freeze, It's really good. I kind of debate where it is in the rankings between DKC 3 and honestly a game we're about to talk about after this one, the next one we're going to talk about. Because Enguarde does come up. Enguarde was honored in a 2D platformer of this era. It just wasn't in Tropical Freeze, sad to say.
Right.
So the next game, this enters the era of Enguarde getting referenced in very quick succession. In like the space of a year and a half, Enguarde got 3 pretty prominent references or allusions to himself, which did make up for his lack of appearance in Tropical Freeze. So in 2018, Sea of Thieves comes out. And Sea of Thieves, like Grab by the Ghoulies before it, incorporates lots of references, although a bit more understated than Ghoulies, to the broader shared Rare universe. And that does include Donkey Kong. And one of the most explicit, blatant, in-your-face references to the Donkey Kong series in Sea of Thieves is a figurehead you can get for clearing out Hunter's Call commendations. And this didn't come in the game at launch. This came a bit later. But it's the Killer Whale figurehead. And this figurehead is of a swordfish. And it's painted in Enguarde's colors. And it's got big googly eyes.
It just is straight up Enguarde. Look at that thing.
It's a more realistic depiction of Enguarde. Granted, his eyes are spaced out on either side of his head rather than like right on the front, like above the bill. But we do have it confirmed this was an intentional reference to Enguarde at Rare. In fact, I believe Daly has said when she was at Rare, she actually wrote the original description for this and made it very blatant. And they changed it later on. When they actually finally rolled it out in the game, when it was ready to go, that like all nods to Enguarde were taken out, and it just says,
I get it, I understand.
Yeah, it just says based on the swordfish that adorned the killer whale before Merrick, who is the captain of the killer whale and founder of the Hunter's Call, misplaced the ship. So at the very least, we can assume that Merrick has sailed into the waters around Donkey Kong Island or whatever it was known to him as and spotted these swordfish, which it's not the only time Sea of Thieves would acknowledge the animal buddies, weirdly enough. It also gave us the fun retcon that Glimmer is in fact named after a constellation that appears above the Sea of Thieves.
Yeah, I like that. That's fun. I like that you can still get this stuff even when Rare's time with Donkey Kong has come to an end.
You can never disentangle the two. You really can't.
Yeah.
It's like peeing in a swimming pool. You gotta
which we're both experts at.
We love it. You've got to completely drain that water to get the pee out. And nobody wants to drain the water of Donkey Kong or Rare completely. So
no, we like the pee.
The pee remains. The pee just keeps floating in there, and it's don't worry, it's purified by now. All the chemicals in there. It's not a poison pond this time. The chemicals are actually doing good. They're cleansing the urine, so we can all partake.
We can all enjoy it.
If Swordfish Jesus can turn water into wine, why can't these chemicals turn urine into potable water?
That's true, Hyle. That's such a good quote. That's just a well said thing.
DK Vine needs to release a Bible. Like, you know how certain versions of the Bible, like there's the Jefferson Bible, and we don't like that guy anymore. He was a rapist, but
right.
And a slave owner, and anyway, he had his own like edited version of the Bible, and it's like, this is the Jefferson Bible. I am the Word of God now. And then, you know, there's Bibles that like highlight the words of Christ or whatever, and so we could just have the DK Vine Bible where we just add fun little nuggets here and there.
Give it a little DK Vine twist.
Well, there's plenty that the DKU has provided us that I think can add to your spiritual journey.
Yeah.
So anyway, in Sea of Thieves, Dustin, of course, I use this figurehead for one of my ships. I'm basically an admiral in Sea of Thieves because I own several ships. And I have a brigantine.
No big deal.
Yeah, you know what? Whatever. I was a captain and now I'm an admiral. Okay, what's next?
Oh, stop. You're embarrassing me.
So, yeah, for my brigantine, which is kind of the mid-tier ship, it can have up to 3 pirates on it. It's basically a big, long deck, right?
Right. Those are the best kinds.
Well, it's been likened to a bowling alley. Not the best bowling ever on any platform. That was Connect Sports Rivals, but pretty good for a bowling alley. So it's a big, long deck. And this is my fishing brig in Sea of Thieves. We take it out to go fishing. And so it's got like a swordfish theme. And we have the Enguarde figurehead or the DK Isle swordfish figurehead on the front. And you know what I named this? Big
What the hell did
deck?
you name this? What did you name this big deck?
So, you know, in Star Trek, there's a show called Star Trek. They also did some movies and some shit. There's the
I've heard of it.
There's the holodeck, and this is kind of a virtual reality environment that like Captain Picard and Data go into whenever they want to pretend like they're Sherlock Holmes for some reason. And
right.
It's like, oh, you know what? Writing for Star Trek actually sucks. I wish we could write anything else. Let's have a holodeck episode and just pretend like we don't write for this sci-fi garbage. So
who cares?
I named my brig the Hard Light Holodeck.
I like that. That's a nice little reference, Hyle.
Yeah, it's a reference to Stabber and Guard's niece.
As we all know.
As everyone knows by now, we have established it. It's basically Donkey Kong canon. I don't see any way Nintendo can get out of this one.
Yeah, it's basically word of God.
Illumination is listening to this. They're already working Stabber into the script.
Write that down.
A little bit of reclamation, though, because the Donkey Kong series kind of the Donkey Kong series, not really, but kind of, spiritually the Donkey Kong series, did reference Enguarde. Later that year, the Sea of Thieves was released, 2018. Donkey Kong Adventure came out as DLC for Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle. Ubisoft Milan developed it. Grant Kirkhope did the score. And in Donkey Kong Adventure, we got lots of little nods. Not as many as you would think, but we got lots of nods to the Donkey Kong series. Mostly Donkey Kong.
I guess since it's a pretty small chapter,
yeah,
it's a good amount for like how big it is.
For the time, there's some surprising pulls, mostly from Donkey Kong 64 because of the Kirkhope connection. Like we got the DK Isles theme, which was like,
and that was like the first time that had come back since 64, right?
Yeah, so it was kind of shocking at the time because there was an era where it felt like they were distancing themselves from DK64. Of course, later that year we would have Smash Ultimate and like the Blast-O-Matic, and it's like all bets are off at this point. But we also got like Hellavines making a reappearance. But the original 5 animal buddies all got weapons in Donkey Kong Adventure, and we've talked about this in the past on past character witnesses. Enguarde's weapon is called Trophy Fish Terror, and great alliteration there. Sounds like a rare level.
Great.
And this is one of the little sentry bots that Rabbid Peach can send out, and the description. Is it your turn to read something? Would you like to read?
I think it's my turn.
Go ahead and read this.
Oh, wait, no, because I did the Wii U and 3DS one, right?
Dustin, I am such a magnanimous, giving friend to you, my spiritual swordfish.
Oh, boy.
I will let you read this
Are
one.
you? You're going to let me do it?
I'm going to let you do it.
That's so nice of you, Hyle. I would love to. Relax, Enguarde is safe and sound, and a half-ton of picked mackerel richer thanks to the licensing deal that brought us this deployable.
So I like that this is a reference almost as a counter narrative to Grab by the Ghoulies reference, that this is not actually Enguarde's corpse.
Yeah, don't worry, he sold his likeness.
Yeah, and apparently Enguarde loves to eat mackerel. That's canon now.
Yeah, sure, why not? What I really like about this is it feels like there's a difference between, Nintendo and even Rare referencing Enguarde and a third party entirely, like Ubisoft coming in here and saying, we are going to have Enguarde the Swordfish. We're going to talk about Enguarde the Swordfish. It's nice. I like it.
Well, remember, though, it has been confirmed that Donkey Kong Adventure was the first time that Nintendo's internal Donkey Kong brand management kind of oversaw things. And
yeah,
they actually like coordinated with Ubisoft Milan and like said, hey, do this, do that, incorporate that. So everything was greenlit by them and or suggested by them in some respects. So this really gave us hope as a fandom, because 2018, this is really when we started getting tipped off about what was up with Donkey Kong here at DK Vine. I mean, this is where we started hearing rumblings about Donkey Kong EPD, and it was like, okay, all right, maybe this means good things ahead for the Animal Buddies, at least the original 5.
Yeah. Just having something that references them. Again, this is it's something to keep that flame aglow.
Yeah. The Sentry, the Trophy Fish Terror Sentry, it's also interesting because they designed it. It looks like Enguarde, except its underbelly, instead of being like the light greenish blue, or aqua green, or wherever you want to define it as, it's completely white.
Yeah, that's an interesting choice.
It is, and there was a theory, is this what Enguarde's design is going to be in Donkey Kong EPD? And of course, Enguarde wasn't really in Donkey Kong EPD, although he kind of is referenced, and we have a design for him now. And no, this is just a weird little thing they did, maybe to make it stand out more. I don't know, but this is not actually carrying over to the actual Enguarde.
I will say, I like this blue a lot more than the very bright blue of the 3D model before that we had.
Yeah, I'll allow that.
I always appreciate this like more navy blue over. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I mentioned Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and like so many characters, Enguarde did appear as a spirit in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. When the video game multiverse collapsed and most characters died, Enguarde's ghost hung around until he was resurrected. So Enguarde's spirit, he's a primary spirit for the Donkey Kong series. Hey, yeah, he's on the attack, and his spirit battle, where you can unlock Enguarde. Well, first of all, the spirit battle in World of Light, Enguarde does appear in World of Light, and he's actually located in Coral Capers, within World of Light's little preserved sliver of the Congo jungle. You will encounter Enguarde. However, Enguarde's spirit is possessing a clone of Fire Emblem character Corrin.
I get it, because Corrin has a sword.
Because, it was probably going to be a Fire Emblem character because of the stabbing.
Right. On account of all the stabbing they do.
Like if Jack the Ripper was in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, maybe then Enguarde could have possessed Jack the Ripper. Or OJ.
Right, that would have been something, but unfortunately we only have Fire Emblem characters.
Unfortunately, yeah. Yeah, what a shame. So, I'm sure O.J. Simpson was in a very early football game, right? Maybe?
Oh, maybe, possibly.
That's something I have to research. Like, how many degrees of separation do you have to go until O.J. Simpson is adjacent to the DKU?
I don't think I want to know the results.
Oh, it's fine. The world's full.
It's science.
The world's full of crooks and murderers, Dustin.
That is true.
So anyway, yeah, the Corrin fight, the rules, conditions of the spirit battle are you can't swim. The enemy, in this case, Enguarde possessed Corrin, the enemy's dash attacks have increased power, and the enemy favors dash attacks. And
That's fun.
Buoyancy is also reduced.
Buoyancy.
What a great word. I love it.
You can get so much out of it.
Anyway, I like that Enguarde was there. And I really do like the spirit battles. I think they were such a clever way of incorporating characters who will not appear in Smash Brothers. And I know a lot of people like miss the trophies and think it's a kind of a lazy cop-out given that they just reuse art assets already on hand. But you know what? We saw the quality of the trophy descriptions from Brawl onward, and I like the creativity that goes into the spirit battles and how they're able to like carry over some sort of essence of that character in the spirit battles.
So I agree. I like spirit battles. I think where I come down on spirits is I do wish they had some sort of little blurb, because I think the trophies worked a lot better as like a Nintendo museum in a way that spirits really don't.
Yeah, I agree. But you know what? It's one of those things, like Donkey Kong Racing, I don't mourn it as hard as I did back then, because Donkey Kong Bonanza has so much fan service in it. And
right.
It's kind of the same thing. I don't mourn the Super Smash Brothers trophies and the idea of a Nintendo museum as much, because right now I'm building a Donkey Kong museum on DK Island in Bonanza.
Who needs all that other shit?
I don't... Zelda? That confusing timeline? Where does Tears of the Kingdom take place? I don't know, but I can tell you this about Donkey Kong. Everything works.
That is true. Literally everything.
There's not any continuity problems whatsoever in Donkey Kong, and that's why get Link out of there. I don't want to look at him. Ugly face.
No wonder he was at the bottom of Cranky's video game heroes.
You didn't think to look, Link. That's your problem.
He doesn't think to look. That's his downfall.
Objective 1 in playing a Donkey Kong game, look around you.
Yeah, you should look maybe next time.
Make me feel, too.
Idiot.
Smell.
Yeah. Maybe live.
Malik has joined us in a live stream.
Hello, Malik.
Noted swordfish enthusiast Malik. I don't know. I'm just guessing. Probably true. And Malik suggests, because we've been saying Stabber, and of course Porygon said Marvin the Marlin, Malik suggests Off Guard.
Oh, because it's like on guard, off guard.
Yeah,
that's
like
fun.
wax on, wax off.
Off guard. Would that be a swordfish that doesn't have a nose?
I think it's a euphemism for what Chunky Kong was doing.
Oh, sorry, you caught me off guard.
You caught me off guarding all over the place. So, 2019, in the months before COVID shut down the world, we had Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair release. I think it's inarguable that it's Platonic's masterpiece.
I think so.
I mean, it is such a stellar game, and it is an essential if you are a Donkey Kong Country fan. Like, it might not be to your taste, but I think most Donkey Kong Country fans will play it, and they'll be like, wow, it's pretty good.
Not bad, it says on the back of the box.
So earlier I mentioned the Sea of Thieves figurehead, and I mentioned that Daly has been on the record that, wrote a description, didn't make it in.
Right.
Well, for Yooka-Laylee and Impossible Lair, did it again, and it made it in. So there are tonics in Yooka-Laylee and Impossible Lair, and they augment different abilities for the titular characters. One of the tonics is called H2Go, and the description says, Yooka swims faster thanks to lessons from a friendly swordfish.
That's nice. That's the good stuff.
That's quality shit right there. And I'll tell you what, canonically, this does mean that at some point in the 2010s, Yuka met Enguarde, and Yuka studied Enguarde.
Or Stabber.
Yeah, off guard. It could have been off guard, but
could have been off guard.
Yeah, at some point, I think the implication is clear. It's supposed to be on guard. So
right.
Yeah, like at some point, like Yuka was like, "Oh, if I swim like that, I'll swim faster," and then forgot it until this chemical unlocked that part in his brain, and he's like, "Whoa,
oh yeah,
whoa, that's Swordfish. I remember.
I forgot about that."
And of course, Yooka-Laylee and Impossible Lair, just like Rare, can still augment Donkey Kong canon if you expand the sphere of canonicity to Rare. If you extend it even outwards further to Platonic, then yeah, this is kind of a little perk to Donkey Kong canon as well, because of course, Yooka-Laylee in the Impossible Lair not only has an appearance from an unnamed goldfish, who we all know is supposed to be Royston from off of the Banjo-Kazooie series. We all know. But also, there's a little Easter egg. You can play the Yooka-Laylee rap underneath the Batship Crazy on the overworld of that game. And one of the Yooka-Laylee rappers is the same as one of the DK rappers, who, of course, did the famous DK rap in 1999 for the 5 Kongs of that game. Of course. In universe, is that rapper a Kong of some sort? And he split up with his former partner, but then got a new rapping partner and wrote a rap about Yuka and Laylee. Yes.
That is exactly what happened.
People hate that we try to argue that the DK rappers are real characters, but in universe, the DK rap is a real thing.
That is true. I'm somewhere in the middle when it comes to the DK rappers.
The middle's a good place to be. It's everybody's favorite part of a sandwich.
That's true. That is the best part.
Everybody likes licking the salami because it's salty. I wouldn't know anymore, but I remember back in the day, it's a pretty salty deli meat, right?
Right. The center of a Tootsie Pop.
The creamy filling of an Oreo cookie.
Ooh, yeah, that's good.
You just scrape it off with your teeth, and then you're like, what do I do with the cookie now? I don't want to eat this.
Get that shit out of my face.
And that brings us, Dustin, to the end, to Donkey Kong Bonanza. Can you believe it? Can you believe we've been talking about this damn swordfish for as long as we have?
Yes, because we've done it many times before with other animal buddies.
March Rose says, I got whole ass distracted and forgot I was listening, and y'all started talking again and scared the shit out of me. I'm sorry. That's honestly...
We are scary.
That's honestly terrifying. If I was doing some task, if I was like doing my taxes or detailing my car, which I've never done because who cares? It's a piece of shit. And then I heard 2 people talk about Enguarde the Swordfish in my ear. I would think I was cracking up, quite honestly.
Like,
and TJ says, if Enguarde had an evil doppelganger, would he be named Touche?
Ooh, that's good.
We are just giving Nintendo a bounty. We, the 2 of us, and our audience here in the live stream for $5 net patrons, we are giving Nintendo the gift of so many great character names for the eventual Diddy and Dixie Kong Racing, Rambi Rumble road trip.
Yeah, I think Nintendo really should be paying us.
You know what? I do what I do for the love of the game.
That is true. I just want to see the world be a better place.
Some people want to give the world a Coke, and I'm just like, what about the people with diabetes? Can't do that. What about the Pepsi generation, Dustin? Think about them.
Yeah, not everyone wants Coke, but you know what? Everyone would love these Donkey Kong ideas.
Yeah, even the people who are like, oh, Donkey Kong is for kids. I prefer sophisticated fare. They get one whiff of Enguarde and Touche and Marvin the Marlin off guard.
They're gonna lower their sunglasses and go, whoa.
They're gonna pass out and collapse on the fainting couch because the vapors have been received.
Get out of here, Grandma.
Yeah, Grandma choking on her hard candy.
This is Donkey Kong for a new generation.
This isn't your father's Donkey Kong, is what they said about Donkey Kong Country. 11 years separated Donkey Kong Country. No, 13 years separated Donkey Kong Country and the original Donkey Kong. 11 years separated Donkey Kong 3 and Donkey Kong Country. Yeah, Grandpa, you old piece of shit. Meanwhile, here we are 30 years after Donkey Kong Country 3.
I remember On Guard.
So Donkey Kong Bonanza, the latest, and some say greatest. It's up there for me. God, Dustin, I'm having the internal debate. Do I actually love Bonanza even more than Donkey Kong Country 2? I don't think I can ever get there. I don't think I can get there, but I have to say, it's getting close.
I think DKC2 just has that. I don't want to play the nostalgia card, but I think it is just DKC2. I just have that nostalgic love for it in the same way that I don't for Bonanza. I love a different way.
I love the style. I love the presentation. I love everything about Donkey Kong Country 2. And I don't think I could ever, in my heart of hearts, say Bonanza is my preferred game over DKC2. But
right, I would say that the gap between the two is like a very small smidgen.
It's shocking. I never thought, for all the years we speculated about Nintendo EPD's Donkey Kong game, I never thought it would actually be that terrific. Like, I thought it would be pleasant. I thought we would all say, yes, you know, it was what it was. I wouldn't have done that. But you know what? It's just great to see the series get some love again. And then it was just like, oh, yeah? Check this out. And then...
get a load of this.
It completely just shattered our minds. So, Enguarde is referenced a few times in Donkey Kong Bonanza. And... the one that people will encounter first, if they're being diligent or just studying the shapes of the fossils on the UI, is in Tempest Layer, sub-layer 900, yes, on down, in Hot Shower Cave, which I believe is sub-layer 901. Am I right there, Dustin?
That sounds right.
Cool. I'll take it. I might be wrong. It gets a little muddled, and I haven't done the Emerald Rushes in Tempest Layer yet, so I haven't rememorized the layout yet. But the extra rare fossil, I guess this is an extra rare fossil, which is the singular big fossil hidden in the big layers of Donkey Kong Bonanza, not counting the Divide or the Junction or Racing Layer or the smaller layers that only have one type of fossil, or Ingot Isle and DK Island for that matter.
Right.
Swordfish is the big extra rare fossil, and
it's huge.
It's huge. This is a big swordfish, bigger than Enguarde's ever portrayed. And you get it by basically clearing out the lava with the Elephant Bonanza. You suck it up with your trunk and cool it down into the big pumice balls. And this is the first time we have seen Enguarde referenced in a Donkey Kong game, like a Donkey Kong game proper, a standalone Donkey Kong game, we'll say, since Barrel Blast / Jet Race. And I'll read the description for Swordfish. Okay. In water, one had to stay on their guard around this fish's notably sharp nose. On land, it would struggle and flop around.
Come on, don't sell out On Guard like that.
I mean, it's
Fossil.
True. It's true a little bit.
It is true, but yeah. you could also say On Guard, some say Swordfish helped find hidden bonus rooms. You can leave out the part about how pathetically it flops around.
Some say this Swordfish had all the sex.
Some say this swordfish donated to charities.
Some say this swordfish lived moss.
Some do say that.
Little Taco Bell reference for all you Gordita fans out there. So yeah, it's also cool because the rare fossil, the one you get 10 of in Tempest Layer, is anglerfish. So here we go. You know, Enguarde and Glimmer have always been kept apart, even though in my head they live in the same place now. So it's nice to see them get a little bit of cohesion here, reference in the same world. Also brings back to the Donkey Kong Racing trailer, because where Tiny and Diddy are racing their swordfish, you also see anglerfish swimming in the background as well.
Yeah, well, what I like about that, I know this is getting off of talking about how great Enguarde is, but Glimmer to me was always one of the unsung Donkey Kong characters. Like, besides us, no one really cares that much about Glimmer.
Yeah.
It's great to see that Glimmer was one of the fossil picks.
And even though Glimmer will probably not get a statue on DK Island, there is a sand etching of Glimmer on the beach.
Yeah. That's great that something can say, like, no, Glimmer is an important part of this.
Glimmer is referenced and acknowledged in Bonanza at the very least, as is Clapper. Yeah. Clapper also gets a sand etching, so.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So, spoilers for the end of Donkey Kong Bonanza. New Donk City. When Donkey Kong and Pauline pop up out of the street like a chud, like a pair of chuds, you see several times in the background a sign for a seafood restaurant called Enguarde Eatery. And this is interesting because the depiction on the sign is of a very realistic looking swordfish.
Yeah, that's fun. That's fun that they would do a realistic swordfish just for the branding of this restaurant, but it's still named after Enguarde.
Yeah, you're not actually eating Enguarde's flesh. Do not worry, folks. You're just eating not even relatives, because these look like a different type of swordfish than a DK Isle swordfish, but it does remind me of the figurehead in Sea of Thieves, except that one looks even more cartoony than this. So
that's true.
I love it. And yeah, I looked back in Odyssey, and yeah, there weren't Enguarde references in New Donk City there, were there?
Were there really none? I guess I can't think of any.
I couldn't find any.
There was no Enguarde Eatery at the time.
So anyway, I was happy to see him. I like that Bonanza swapped out all the references in Odyssey for all new references for its depiction of Big Ape City shit. New Donk City. Sorry, Force of Habit. And, yeah, we got, like, lots of fun little nods that weren't even there in Bonanza. And, yeah, and Guard got his due there.
Yeah, I love it.
And then
I just love looking around and seeing all these references in New Donk City.
Yeah.
Especially since I feel like, I really appreciated the DKC little Easter eggs and references in New Donk City, but you don't really see any of them. Like, it's all in, like, names of streets or names of places, but any signs were like Mario or Arcade Donkey Kong. They don't really have a visual presence there, but here they're all over the place.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's very, like, explicit, some of the stuff they do. Like, there's Cranky Records, and it's the gramophone on top of the old girders from DK81. Like, not only is that, like, a very, like, direct reference to the opening of Donkey Kong Country, but it's also another suggestion that, yeah, Cranky is the original Donkey Kong, deal with it.
Yeah, he also has his grandma phone, which is how he talks to Wrinkly from Beyond the Grave.
Yeah, when they coordinate their vacation to Sun Island together.
He has to use the grandma phone.
Grandma phone, yeah. So anyway, that brings us to last October and the first Emerald Rush event in Donkey Kong Bonanza, Chip Fever. And the rewards. Now, we actually learned about Enguarde's statue in the DLC trailer when they announced the DK Island and Emerald Rush DLC. We first got a glimpse of this Enguarde statue in that trailer. And it was just like, wait, is that like, it didn't even like register at the time because we were like, again, my trailer blindness kicked in. I was consuming way too much information and it didn't even like hit me that, oh my god, like there's Enguarde as a statue on DK Island. But yeah, he was the first reward along with the Kong Bonanza for the Chip Fever event, which was set on DK Island. And Enguarde was the mid-tier reward, as all animal buddies are in these Emerald Rush events, because so far they've all been paired with a Bonanza form. And while later events like Ostrich Riches paired Espresso with the Ostrich Bonanza, or Snake Rattlin' Bonanza, everybody's favorite, gave people no problems at all, paired Radley with the Snake Bonanza. Enguarde doesn't have a counterpart Bonanza form in Bonanza. So they had to have Enguarde. They had to have him first because he is the third most important animal buddy. We're making that distinction right now. And
it's official.
They paired him with the Kong Bonanza, which I guess makes sense. I guess it works.
Yeah. Boy, this model for Enguarde looks so good.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something bad about it, and I was like, whoa, hold on, Dustin.
No, he looks incredible. I think this is probably the best Enguarde's ever looked. He doesn't have the charming but a little crusty, a little aging original Enguarde. But and don't get me wrong, I was happy to see Enguarde in Barrel Blast, in Smash Brothers, but that model of Enguarde just never sat well with me. The colors are wrong. His eyes are so huge. We talked about the fin just looking like a mohawk, which I guess it kind of still does here, but I think having the colors and the face, he just feels right. It feels like the first time Enguarde's really looked right since the originals.
I also like that there's like added detail. Remember we talked about the Donkey Kong Racing trailer and you could see like the shimmer. You get a little bit of shimmer here. It looks great. It's not like the purple shimmer that was there, but you definitely get this like more of a sense of scale. Even if he's not depicted with like visible scales, you still kind of get that idea conveyed. And it's really cool. He looks great. The statue appeared near DK's treehouse, which is where all the unlockable Animal Buddy statues from the Emerald Rush events are being lined up. And it's always makes me happy when I load into Bonanza, because I don't know if you do this, Dustin, but I always have to end my Bonanza sessions by hitting the tuning fork right beneath DK's treehouse. So I start every game right next to the other Kongs, the treehouse, and now these Animal Buddy statues.
I don't do that, but I think I might start.
You've got to do it, Dustin. You have to just know that Donkey Kong's home. you can't just leave him. What, you gonna leave him in Radiance Layer? I'm gonna sleep at a getaway in Radiance Layer? No.
He has to hang his pants up, go, oh, what a day.
Yeah, I also, I do wear trousers, when I'm in the underground world, but when I'm back on Donkey Kong Island, those pants go off.
He's wild and free back home.
He is. He's got to expose the ham.
It just wouldn't feel like home if he wasn't out and about.
Yeah. So anyway, this Enguarde statue looks great. One of the things I love about all the statues, whether they're in the base DLC or unlockable through the events, if you hold up a piece of like dirt or rock or whatever and you aim it at the statue, you will get the terrain readout for the statue. And it just says the character's name and then statue. So you could...
Enguarde statue.
They didn't rename them. They didn't change the spelling.
Good. I mean, it would be weird if they did, but I'm glad they didn't.
Well, there was the question, Radley, Are they going to get the spelling right? And they got the spelling right.
They did it.
They did it. They did. Donkey Kong Bonanza does what Nintendo don't in Super Mario Odyssey.
Hyle, you could say they understood the assignment, if you know what I'm saying.
You might say that, and you just did.
Yeah, I made the choice.
So, one of the other things I like to do with the statues when I'm really bored is I like to pose them. I like to pose them in fun ways, because it really is just like a playground for me. Not only is it...
You're playing with your little toys.
I'm playing with my little Donkey Kong toys. The little Donkey Kong toys I was deprived of as a child because they didn't make them. And...
Yeah.
I have a lot of fun, like, arranging different characters, creating little sets in different areas of the DK Isles. And so whenever I pose on guard with anybody, I always have to slam the statue into the ground until I hit the ocean, until I hit the seawater, so Enguarde can have a little pocket of water to swim around in. I have to do it every single time. It's the only statue I have this, like, obsessive need to do something special for. And I showed you a screenshot in our show notes, Dustin. There's Enguarde.
Oh, I see it.
Swimming around in the water while other Kongs and animal buddies are milling about behind him.
Yeah, just look how great he is. Like, the face is, like, perfectly proportioned, but he looks more expressive than he ever could have been in the original DKC games. Oh, he just looks so good.
He looks more Enguardive.
That's so true. That's such a true statement.
I would say the ostrich statue looks the most expressive.
That's I don't know what I was thinking, saying I got them mixed up,
You weren't thinking, because, Dustin, we've been talking about Enguarde for almost 3 hours, and your faculties are abandoning you.
Hyle, I have to admit something. I've never played any of these games ever.
You know what? I could tell. Like, on the down low, I knew you were just a bullshit artist, but...
I'm good at it, though.
You're good at it, and not many other people would sit with me for nearly 3 hours to talk about Enguarde, the Swordfish, so I just allow it. I just accept the charade.
Yeah, I just browse Wikipedia for a couple seconds before we start each show.
You don't want to know too much, because then it really would give the game away if you were like an expert or something.
Right, exactly.
All right, well, we're not done yet, Dustin, so don't think you've got off scot-free. We have a few calls to play about Enguarde, the Swordfish, as well as a comment sent on Blue Sky. So I want to play these calls, I want to read the comment, and then I want to give our final thoughts. And what are our final thoughts for this episode? Well, it's simply this. What's next for Enguarde now that the Donkey Kong series is as red hot as Lava Lagoon, as red as the Crimson Tide of Enguarde's token game in the original Donkey Kong Country?
I know what that is. That's from Donkey Kong Country. I read the wiki page.
You read about that this morning. All right, let's play our first call.
Hello, Dustin. Hello, Hyle. This is Crawlmax calling in for the On-Guard character witness. And I do want to say, you know, if we can't have Posh Ramby, we could have Posh On-Guard, right? I mean, like, his name is like, it's fencing, it's French. He seems like a fancy sort of guy. He could be Posh, I think. But I'm going to throw my hands to the ring, and I assume we're going to talk a lot about, you know, why On-Guard hasn't been around so much. I think it's mostly that's like, it's the animal buddy thing, it's the water thing. I'll start off with water. A lot of Donkey Kong games are just not super interested in water as like a mechanic. So there needs to be like a focus on that before you even consider bringing Enguarde in there. So that kind of rules out Returns and Bonanza, even though, you know, Bonanza did not really have restrictions on what they could detect. And obviously Tropical Freeze remains baffling in that context, but it is just like a single baffling decision and not like, 3 or however many. I also think that animal bites has just not been as much of a factor in like the Donkey Kong series identity. Maybe in part because it's seen as like too derivative of Yoshi or like other things. And also there's just like less like, I guess like visible outcry about them. People care a lot about their Kongs coming back, and of course they care a lot about the Kremlins coming back. Although, you know, people like Enguarde, you don't really see him, he doesn't rally people in quite the same way, which is fine, but maybe this didn't end up leading to, like, but it's being like, okay, we got to get Enguarde there. We got to get him in there to like appease the fans or something like that. But of course, what we do with the animal buddies nowadays in the Kong series is we transform into them. Riding animals is out, transforming them is in. And the real reason that we can't have Enguarde is we know from Donkey Kong 64, only Lanky Kong still has the ability to transform into Enguarde. So we got to wait on him to get Enguarde back in there. But thankfully, next week, this can finally be rectified, and I can play the Donkey Kong 64 game for the Nintendo 64 system on the Nintendo Switch Online service, the Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch 2 family systems, plus Jamboree TV.
I should say that we got no calls for this episode until they made the announcement that Donkey Kong 64 is coming to NSO, and then all of a sudden everybody started calling in. I think people hit their breaking point, and everybody just lost interest in Donkey Kong.
And then this kind of renewed it?
Yeah, I think basically what happened is we're getting close to the 1-year anniversary of the Switch 2. We'll soon be like the 11th month mark for Donkey Kong Bonanza, and people are just done. They're just done talking about Bonanza. So I announced, hey, we're doing an episode about Enguarde. Nobody cared. And then they announced DK64 is coming to NSO, and then all of a sudden people are like, oh, I like that.
Well, now I have thoughts on Enguarde.
Yeah. I just found that interesting. So I think, for one thing, I'm not bothered that the animal buddies aren't rideable in Bonanza. I know it was a talking point early on. Do you think we're going to have animal buddies? And then we knew like Rambi was going to be in there in some capacity. But I think for the story that Bonanza is telling, it works to limit how many characters and familiar resources Donkey Kong can draw upon. And then finally, when they get back to DK Island and the DLC is just an explosion, an orgasmic free-for-all of stuff, right? But I think, like, for what Bonanza does, it justifies it wholeheartedly. Even not being able to go underwater in Bonanza is justified if you look at the character animations and you see that Pauline clearly cannot swim. And she, like, frantically holds her nose and tries to hold her breath, and then she gasps for air when you get back to the surface. If you, like, jump in the water and you, like, dip underneath, you will, like, see that, and it's fantastic. So Donkey Kong does not swim in Bonanza because with Odd Rock and then, as revealed, Pauline, he doesn't want to drown his companion.
I think that's a pretty good reason.
Yeah, it's better than Returns gave us.
Right, I guess I can accept that he wouldn't want to kill a child.
Yeah, Donkey Kong's pretty cool like that. But I will say, and I will say, and I'll keep doing the saying.
I say.
I lose my ability to say language by the 3-hour mark. Some of these I just can't anymore. Like
you become Foghorn Leghorn.
I'll just say a couple French words like on guard.
Oh.
I really hope transforming into animal buddies is eased up on if animal buddies come back in a full-throated capacity, which I think they will. Or at least I think they will, greater than we saw in the retro duology or the buyout era, for that matter. I think the way the Donkey Kong series is veering, and as Bonanza has certainly provided us with a glimpse of things to come, I think the people in charge of it understand that this series has its fans, and we're fans of, I think more than anything else, characters. You look at what the DLC is doing for Donkey Kong fans. It's a celebration, first and foremost, of characters. Like, the rewards you get for doing Emerald Rushes, for cashing in your Bananium chips, it's all character-based. And that's like really an acknowledgement in a way that I've never seen from Nintendo post-buyout, that, like, we know what you freaks like. Here you go. This is for the sickos.
Here you go. Have them.
This is for you. And I think they know that the animal buddies, maybe during the long, fraught fandom battles of the buyout era and then the Returns era and then the Renaissance, we're really advocating for, first bring back the Kongs, bring back Diddy Kong, bring back Dixie Kong, and then it was bring back the Kremlins. But now that those are done, and nobody's worried about really any Kong but Kitty, I think that you're going to see more advocacy for the animal buddies. I think it's already there, but I don't think we even need to really push it all that much. I think they know. I think they're ahead of the game for once, and I'm not worried about it.
I mean, with how many they're adding in these statues, it really does feel like they know who are the right ones to add in.
If we're right, and I'm pretty sure we are, that Ellie is going to be the statue with the elephant bonanza, that will mean that every animal buddy from the original Country and Land trilogies will be referenced in some capacity in Bonanza, either through an outright appearance or a statue or a little nod here or there, except Perry the Parallel Bird.
So that's fine by me.
Yeah. Oh, and Stabber, the Hardlight hologram, or Jeremy, or whatever we're going with.
Well, it's only a matter of time.
Jeremy the Posh Enguarde. That's what you call it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's right. All right. Thank you for the call. Let's play our second caller.
Hello, DK Vine. This is Chocolate Milk Drinker. I'm calling for the On Guard character spotlight episode today. Calling before work. I didn't have much to say about On Guard. I was wanting to, but last night with DK64's announcement of coming to NSO, it reminds me a lot of Gloomy Galleon. I think that honestly was On Guard's best appearance. I really did like the gameplay of what they posed up for On Guard in those levels. Even though you could swim with the Kongs, I believe, in Gloomy Galleon. I can't remember exactly. But I do think On Guard's gameplay was like really good in that level. I do like what they give to him in Gloomy Galleon. I think like the ring challenge is it's a bit hard, but I think it's still pretty fun. Some of the golden bananas you can get in that level On Guard is pretty fun. I think On Guard honestly always works with water levels. Like the DKC trilogy, I think he works really well. He's always super fun to play with. I mean, being able to destroy pretty much any enemy with just a press of button is pretty nice. It's a bummer he couldn't come back for any of the Country Returns games like Retro, even though pretty much nobody came back for those games besides Rambi for Animal Buddies. But I still think On Guard is a pretty fun character. It is really nice to see them come back recently, even with the first Bonanza event being Ship Fever or whatever it was. But, yeah, that's all I gotta say. I'm sure there's probably gonna be a bunch of calls about DK64 after last night's announcement. But, yeah, I think On Guard is a pretty cool character in that game. I do really like how they play and such. I don't know, I just keep on repeating myself. I think, he's just a really fun character. Alright, goodbye. I hope to see myself in the episode.
Well, thank you for the call. Chocolate Milk Drinker blowing my mind over here, because we, Dustin, did not think too highly of Enguarde's control and just overall appearance, his role in Donkey Kong 64.
I know, I feel a little bad now.
No, this is great. I love the different perspectives because we're not universally correct. That's just our opinion.
No.
Now we're getting a different opinion. And it's really like eye-opening. Like, oh, okay, yeah, other people disagree. Other people think differently. That's pretty cool, actually. And
it is very interesting, seeing a lot more love for DK64 these days than over the years.
I'm curious what it coming to NSO will do for its fortunes and its renown. How will people who have never played it take to it? Knowing what they know after hearing about it for years going into it, what will they think? Will they be like, oh, this is actually great? Or will they be like, oh, this is worse than I feared?
I didn't think it could be worse.
We are well past the point, though, where DK64 is being shunned. And I mean, the fact that Bonanza was very much a sequel to Donkey Kong 64, I mean, that was one of the most shocking things to me when I realized that Bonanza wasn't just kind of its own thing. I mean, it's its own thing, yes, but it was positioning itself as the next 3D Donkey Kong game after Donkey Kong 64. We're not hiding from that. And I was like, oh yeah, hell yeah. And then that really, really became apparent with the DLC and DK Island and the way they portrayed it. It's not just DK64 references, mind you, but the whole tone of it is very much inspired by the overworld there.
Yeah, it is interesting how, there are people who are not big they're outwardly not big fans of DK64, but it's not like a Sonic 06 situation or anything where it's just like universally accepted that it is not a good game. Well, that's like I think that Sonic 06, even fans are like, no, I get it. I understand. DK64, it's interesting how like there are people who are like, no, that game's not good. That game sucks. But there's lots of people who are like, no, this game's good. What's wrong with it?
Yeah. I think that was kind of an eye-opening thing for me, not being part of the Sonic fandom and like watching Josh's The Geek Critique stuff and like realizing, oh wait, my perspective is kind of skewed because Donkey Kong 64 is nowhere near as reviled as Sonic 06. And it's not really a bad game. It's a flawed game, but it has its merits for sure.
Yeah, it's a game that has issues, and, you know, it's obvious to see when someone is not a big fan of it, but it's functional. It is a video game.
Yeah. Well, we will talk quite a bit more about DK64 in the weeks ahead. I'm probably
I'm really glad that didn't end with we're going to be talking a lot more about Sonic 06.
Yeah, you know me. You know how I do. I
know what a Sonic head you are.
You know, I'm just going to go to Wikipedia 5 minutes before we record and get the gist of it and just talk like I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know Sally Acorn.
Fake it till you make it. But no, I'm probably going to recruit one of the aforementioned DK64 fanatics, Courtney, to be on the episode about it coming to NSO, because who better, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
that feels like the right choice.
It probably is, yeah. All right, thank you for the call. All right, we have one more. We have one more call to take. Somebody was calling in while we were recording. If you were calling in for the Enguarde episode, apologies. If you're calling in for the next Star Fox Assault episode or a DK64 episode, you know, there's lots of things, lots of reasons people might be calling these days, Dustin, but
there's so many.
Yeah, I couldn't add it to the queue.
The DKU is hopping and bopping.
If it's about Enguarde, I couldn't add it to the queue in time. I'm sorry. All right, let's play.
Hey, there's always call sack episodes.
Who knows? Who fucking knows at this point, Dustin? I've lost control of my life. It's just spinning wildly, stabbing in all directions like an inebriated swordfish drunk on its own wine.
That's fun. That's a good visual.
Thank you. All right, let's play our last call.
Hey, DK Vine, this is TJ. I'm calling in to discuss the character Enguarde, the Swordfish. So, yes, you know I love the animal buddies. I think Enguarde, I consider him part of the core trio of them. Rambi, Squawks, and Enguarde. You got land, sky, and sea right there. I love him a lot. I think one of the biggest things that's been holding him back in terms of, like, showing up, I think it just has to do with his biology. The fact that he's a big swordfish, that you can only see him in bodies of water. Like, you can't even do, like, Klaus from American Dad and have him in a goldfish bowl or anything and carry him around on land for the other characters to interact with him. So, I was thinking, with Tropical Freeze, I remember thinking about, you know, if Enguarde was in this game, how would they handle it? Because that game doesn't have the no animal signs. And I always thought the no animal signs, where you leave the animal buddy behind, those are kind of inelegant. And they kind of took me out of the experience, like what's happening to the animal buddy when you pass that. So in Retro's games, when you have Rambi for the level, you have him for the whole level. In something like Tropical Freeze, if you were riding on Enguarde and you need to get out on land, would you leave him behind, or would Donkey Kong carry him on land with him? and start like swinging him like an actual sword. I don't know. I've always wondered how that would work, how they would translate having Enguarde in levels where you both switch between swimming underwater and walking on land. But I feel like if they can figure that out, I was mostly saying that as a joke, the idea of DK using it as a real sword, but if they figured something like that out, I think that would help them, giving him a role in these modern games. But yeah, thank you for taking the call.
Well, thank you for the call. I would say you're right. Part of the core trio. Weirdly, I would say Radley is sneaking up as the fourth most renowned animal buddy.
He's a real sneaky snake.
He is, and not really for any appearances, just for the weird in-universe notoriety he seems to have. But yeah, that's a good point. I hadn't actually really, like, in-depth considered what you just said about, like, one of the reasons Enguarde might have been excluded from Tropical Freeze. The fact that you do get up out of, like, the water areas in some portions. And, you know, I don't think Enguarde would be in every underwater level. I think not having the no animal signs definitely creates a tricky conundrum. But Rambi was barely in the Tropical Freeze, you know, so it's not like that was ever a problem. They designed certain levels around Rambi, and they could have maybe done the same for Enguarde. But I have to say, I love the visual of Donkey Kong swinging Enguarde around or using him like an actual sword. Really, I was picturing Funky Kong doing it, but like then playing him as an air guitar.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
I like that.
While Enguarde is like gasping, like unable to breathe, Funky's just like doing like Smoke on the Water by Deep Purple or something.
Hold on, Enguarde, I gotta do this cool thing.
I'm just doing Otto from The Simpsons now.
That is the voice I usually imagine for Funky.
Oh, well, then it's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Well, maybe you haven't turned me around. Like, I'm not saying Enguarde should have been left out of Tropical Freeze, but that is a good point. I will concede it.
You know what, Hyle? Don't turn around.
All right, we have a comment from Blue Sky. This was sent to me from Low Zombie. And
hello, Low Zombie.
Hopefully we've brought your spirits up, so you're now High Zombie. Hopefully 3 hours of Enguarde discussion can do that for you. It says, hey, DK Vine, writing for the Enguarde episode. Usually I don't show up often for these, but man, talk about a short end of a stick, huh? And I thought Dixie was done dirty. For being one of the only 3 animal buddies to appear in the entire DKC trilogy, alongside Rambi and Squawks, this franchise sure hasn't been super kind to this seasoned veteran. Apparently he was almost in Tropical Freeze, but was cut in favor of adding Dixie and Cranky, which is pretty bullshit dilemma to give the poor guy. Get rid of the only female character that's really in Tropical Freeze and make this a Diddy and DK only adventure, or turn the Swordfish into sushi. The poor fella was set up. Hopefully with his status in Bonanza, he can rebuild his former third pillar animal buddy status. Though unfortunately it seems like Squawks and Rambi will remain Nintendo's only favorite animals. Nah. I think Rambi and Squawks...
Enguarde will be back.
Yeah, I think Rambi and Squawks... Look, Squawks wasn't even in the base game for Bonanza. It's easy to forget.
That's true.
It's easy to forget now because we've been living with the DLC for more than the length of time we had without it. But yeah, originally it was just Rambi and then all these great fossil references. I think Rambi and Squawks, they definitely loom large and still loom large for myriad reasons. But you also have to consider that we are still living in the shadow of the theme park, and the theme park itself was designed with just the retro duology in mind. So,
right.
Like, we're still seeing kind of the downwind effects from that, and we're going to keep seeing that for a bit longer. I think things will start shifting in the presentation and the merchandise, all of that. One, when we get another Donkey Kong game, And I don't think we're going to have to wait that long, like not even just 11 years long. I mean, I think it'll be within the next couple of years. But 2, the Donkey Kong movie will really kind of juice, or I guess insert new, fresh juice into the tank of what Nintendo markets and pushes as Donkey Kong. So I think Enguarde will definitely be around for the long haul, and I think that brings us into our final thoughts. What is next for the Swordfish? Dustin, I want to hear your perspective on this first, if you don't mind. If you've done enough Wikipedia research to feel like you have anything to say at all.
I think I can BS my way through it.
Sure.
No, Enguarde does feel like just the next most important animal buddy. I would be very surprised if we just never saw Enguarde show up again.
Yeah.
I mean, especially after Bonanza, especially after getting that statue in there, it really does feel like, here we are reminding you of Enguarde. And, you know, I guess it does depend on whatever the next DK game is. But I think it would be very weird if we did not see... I mean, to be fair, I thought it was... It ended up working out, but I did feel like it was weird we didn't have any animal buddies besides Rambi in this game, in Bonanza. Like, after so long between games, it really does just feel like, okay, well, obviously they're going to bring them back here, right? And they didn't, you know, before the statues. But... You know, I feel like whatever the next DK game is, I at least hope Enguarde is there. I hope all these other animal buddies are there.
Yeah. So I think there's a couple things to consider. And that is, like, we've lived so long just with platformers as being our only Donkey Kong entries. We talked about, you know, once Payon was, like, left by the wayside, we stopped getting side games, right? And once upon a time, we were going to get like lots of Donkey Kong side games. I mean, Rare's 2001 showings, it's 2001 showings at E3, really like suggested a future where we'd be getting Donkey Kong puzzle games, multiple sequels to Diddy Kong Racing, in addition to the big headline platformers. And one of the effects of not getting side games, be they from Rare or Payon or I guess Namco, is that it provides less opportunity for characters to appear. You know, think about Mario. How does the years, decades, 40 years of characters that have accumulated across Mario, be they standalone or drones, baddies, whatever, bosses, like how do they get incorporated and frequently used in side games? And that's what Donkey Kong needs. And I think we're going to enter an era where Donkey Kong gets a bit of that. I'm not saying it's going to be to the degree of Mario, because let's be honest, the Donkey Kong series has been rehabilitated a little bit, but we're still not at the point where it will outsell anything Mario. So
right,
we're not going to like say, okay, Mario, you can't have golf anymore. We're giving that to Donkey Kong. It's not going to happen. You know, it would be funny if it did. It's not going to happen. But we probably will get things that make sense. And I made an offhand joke about what if they turned the Rambi Rumble from Bonanza into a more fleshed out game? What if it's more than just Rambi? You know, what if it's Donkey Kong Racing effectively, but through the prism of whatever Nintendo would do with it? So
that'd be great.
That's a possibility, and that would be very different from Mario Kart, be immediately justified, but also just 2D platformers. I think it's kind of a no-brainer that we're going to get another 2D Donkey Kong game in the style of Donkey Kong Country. Whether or not it has that branding, who knows? But I think that is definitely has to be in the cards. And look, I'm not speaking of any inside knowledge this time. Like, I really don't know for sure what Nintendo's got cooking in the kitchen for Donkey Kong. But with the Donkey Kong movie coming out in just a couple of years, there is going to be some tie-ins. there is going to be product that they will want to have out on the shelves around the time that general year, right? Thereabouts.
Right. They're going to want to have On Guard plushes on the shelves.
Yeah, you know what? Why the hell not? They're going to want to genetically engineer swordfish and sell them at pet stores, that look like Enguarde. It's completely unethical. I'm not standing for it, but it's going to happen.
They have big cartoony eyes.
Yeah. They don't even, actually have eyes. They just surgically put in googly eyes. It's terrible.
It's awful.
TJ says, if Punch-Out didn't exist, I'd have loved for them to make the jungle be Kong fighting its own game. Well, here's the thing. Punch-Out effectively hasn't existed for a long time. 2009, the year before Returns. So, you know what? Yeah, do a Donkey Kong punching game. Or
DK Punch-Out?
Boxing, as they call it in professional sports. So, although I do like the name Donkey Kong Punching. And then
DK punching.
You know what? You just get that swordfish out of water and it becomes Donkey Kong stabbing. And we've got a whole new genre video game. Donkey Kong is a trailblazer yet again. And who's getting him over that line? It's his old friend, Enguarde, and his new friend, Jeremy, the Potion Guard, aka Stabber, aka Marvin the Marlin, aka Off Guard. Did I miss any?
I think you got them all.
But yeah, I think that was a good spotlight. Or more like a floodlight. Like floodlight fish. It's a level in a video game. Enguarde was in it. We like that.
This has been a File 2 production.
Oui.